Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Alright, seems. There, now I'm loud and clear. Hello, 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 everyone. And welcome to another stream. A reading stream, where we're going to continue the Goosebumps HorrorLand subseries. Now, I hope you enjoy this, because it should be quite the time. I don't remember entirely what was happening last time in the bigger expanded thing. They recapped it anyways, but like, pretty sure they're... Oh right, it was monster blood for breakfast. So they found a case of monster blood that started to go out of control. Well, in one of the attractions that was themed after a laboratory. However, they were saved by someone with a mirror that sucked up the monster blood. And something about a card that was giving someone infinite goes and almost guaranteeing wins. So, that's where we are at in the HorrorLand part of that story. In this one, however, we're going to be, of course, starting with a new person, as always, with the Haunted Mask. I do hope you enjoy. But now, before we get into it, let me accessorize a bit. Trying to put my legs up. Alright, I think that looks pretty good. Not perfect, mind you, but pretty good. Perhaps I should increase my own size a bit. Alright. Well, I think we're doing alright here. Alrighty, so guess it's time to begin. Just gonna expand that. Bring up something here. Checking a few things. Alright. Bring that up. Check on that. Alright. Alright. Let's get started. The Haunted Theater presents Mondo, the Magical, now appearing and disappearing. 5 stars, I predict a hit, Madame Doom. Ooh, this book's a bit beaten up. Better be careful with it. Goosebumps HorrorLand, the video game. Oh, hold up. Goosebumps HorrorLand video game. It was on the Wii, Nintendo DS, and PlayStation 2. Huh. Wonder if it was any good. Doesn't look too shabby for that era. Oh. You know what, folks? We might have to give this a go at some point. Like, legitimately. I'd probably go for the PS2 version. I'd have to emulate it, of course. But, like... yeah, that's something we could possibly do. We always try it out. Alright, sorry. Got off track there. I saw an advertisement for a video game. Like it had a video game. I also found there were two Goosebumps games on Steam. One's a point-and-click adventure from back in the day and has pretty alright reviews. And the other one is a bit more recent, but a little less enjoy, but it isn't like terrible. Anyways. Hold on. Baby, I have to go help move something. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Yeah, take a quick drink of water here. Goodness knows I'm gonna need it. Thanks for the hydrate, Katya, and welcome to the stream. Oh, and thanks for the stretch. Thank you. Alright, sorry. We keep getting off track. Let's actually begin with the scream of the haunted mask. Have a good stream, Pookie. Aw, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day if you're going to be departing. If not, I hope you enjoy the story. Alright, I'm going to look for a name. Okay. Character's a girl. Alright. I clicked on the bathroom light. Then I gripped the iron banister as I took a step down. A stair creaked beneath me, and it sounded like a squeaking mouse. I took another step, and squinted into the yellow light. The cold stairs chilled my bare feet. I lifted my long night skirt so I wouldn't trip over it as I made my way down. In sleep, my straight brown hair had fallen over my face. I brushed it back over my shoulder, my hands trembling with fear. I heard a hum in the basement as the furnace clicked on. Another stair squeaked beneath me, and I stopped halfway down. What am I doing? Did I say the words out loud? Did I only think them? Why was I creeping down the basement in the middle of the night? It wasn't my idea. I didn't want to do it. Being pulled against my will. Collie Beth, Collie Beth, as if the terrifying mask was calling my name. The ugly, haunted mask that tried to ruin my life, tried to destroy my brain, tried to turn me evil. Oh, this one's a direct sequel. Okay. Now it was calling me, forcing me down the stairs across the cold basement floor. Collie Beth, Collie Beth. I knew I wasn't dreaming. My fright was too real. I switched on the ceiling light, glowed off the bright red vinyl chairs, and crouched in our playroom. I grabbed the edge of the ping pong table, tried to stop myself, tried to hold myself back, but the pull of the mask was too strong. I suddenly felt so weak and tiny, like a piece of dust caught in a powerful vacuum cleaner. My hands flew off the table. I stumbled forward, my toes tangling in the strands of the white shag rug. My horse posters, the red wall clock, my brother Noah's old tricycle, the closet door covered with family snapshots, all swept by in a blur as I staggered across the basement. In the storage room against the far wall, to the mountain of cartoons and old furniture, piles of baby toys and old clothes and magazines, the room where I had buried the mask, so deep in the stacks and stacks of junk, no one could find it. Now it was calling me, pulling me in. Collie Beth, Collie Beth. Was the whisper only inside my head? The sound of my own name sent shiver after shiver down the back of my neck. I knew what it wanted. I knew why it woke me up, called me from my bedroom. It wanted me to uncover the metal box where I had buried it, to unlock the box and free it, to put it on again this year, to let its evil sweep over me once more. The haunted mask was ready to take over my mind again and force me to do its evil. I couldn't let that happen. I would never let that happen again. But here I was, stepping into the dark storage room, squinting at the piles of cartons and old furniture. There I was, unable to find it. My legs trembled as I lifted my first box, shivering in my thin night skirt. I pulled the heavy carton off the pile, set it down beside me. Then I reached for the next carton. I can't stop myself. My voice came out in a crooked whisper. I wanted to turn away. I wanted to run. Instead, I bent, pulled the metal box out from its hiding place. An old black box with a heavy clasp. Let out a gasp. The box felt warm. What am I doing? Why couldn't I stop my hands? My heart skipped a beat. I made a choking sound as I unlocked the box and lifted the lid. Folded inside the box, the mask let off a green glow. I gaped at the 2 crooked rows of teeth, the fat rubbery lips grinning up at me. Stop, Carly Beth, stop! Don't do it, I pleaded with myself. No longer in control, I wrapped one hand around the bumpy, bald head of the mask and lifted it from the box. Oh, a groan escaped my throat. The mask felt like human flesh. The pointed chin bobbed up and down. Its rubbery lips made a ba sound as they rubbed together. I couldn't breathe. My chest felt ready to burst. I let the box fall to the floor and raised the ugly mask high over my head. The sunken eye holes grew wider. The worm-like lips made their ba sound. The basement's cold wrapped around me. I could feel my muscles tightening. My whole body was stiff with fear. I began to lower the mask, lower it over my head. I felt the rubbery material against my skin. I tugged it down, soft as human skin. The mask slid over my forehead, and then, no! A shout burst from my throat, a scream of fear and anger all mixed together. Force of the shout gave me strength. I pulled the mask up and jerked it away from me. No! You're not going to overpower me. I'm not going to wear you, ever again. I gripped the warty cheeks of the mask in my fists, and gripped the mask, moved its rubbery, warm lips. Ba. The lips parted and the fangs tilted up. The haunted mask opened its mouth at a long, deafening scream. Chapter 2. The next afternoon, my friend Sabrina Manson followed me onto the bus. Rode it every day to our after-school job. "Carly Bep, are you okay?" Sabrina asked, swinging her backpack off her shoulder. "You look like something my cat coughed up." I laughed. "Why don't you say what you're really thinking, Sabrina? Sabrina and I have been best friends since 3rd grade. So we can almost always say what's going on in our minds without either of us getting hurt. We're both 12, but Sabrina looked at least 16. She's tall and dark and graceful and sophisticated looking, with long black hair and enormous black eyes. I'm stuck with a little pixie face, tiny stub of a nose, and a skinny mouse body. Actually a month older than Sabrina, but people think I'm her younger sister." The bus started up with a bump. Sabrina and I spilled head first into the near seats. We dropped our backpacks on the floor in front of us. Sabrina began to tie her hair back in a ponytail. Sabrina turned to me. "So, let me guess. You're up all night thinking about Gary Stedman, huh?" I gave her shoulder a hard shove. "Hello, calling Sabrina. I don't have a crush on Gary Stedman." Sabrina's dark eyes flashed. "Then what did you see at Steve Balsley's party last Friday night?" I could feel my cheeks turning hot. I knew I was blushing. I wish I could do something about that. Is there a way to learn how to keep your face from turning red? "Sabrina, don't be a rat. I said, total truth, he tried to kiss me and his braces cut my lip." We both laughed. Bus hit a bump, made me hiccup. Sabrina tugged at the brown suede vest she wore over 2 t-shirts. 2 t-shirts? And a vest? I get it's autumn, but just wear a long sleeve, Jesus. "So, Carly Beth, you weren't up all night thinking about the Stedman. Why the dark rings under your eyes? I'm serious. You've been totally pale and droopy all day." I sighed and stared out at the stained bus window. The sidewalks were covered with a deep blanket of brown leaves scuttling in the wind. We rolled past the library, with its tall white column, then past Romer's flower store, the wheelbarrow of yellow and orange flowers in front. Should I tell Sabrina the truth? Yes, I decided. I couldn't tell anyone else about what happened last night. No one would believe it. Mom would tell me to stop watching the Sci-Fi Channel. Man, ain't that a blast from the past. But Sabrina was there that Halloween. She saw the haunted mask. She saw what happened to me when I wore it. Sabrina believed. So I told her the whole story. I woke up wide awake, 3 in the morning. I couldn't stop myself. I was pulled to the basement, forced to open the box and take out the ugly mask. Speaking in a hushed voice, I told her how I started to pull it down over my head, how I found the strength to rip it off and shove it away. My voice trembled as I told Sabrina how it took all my strength to stuff the screaming mask back of the box. It didn't stop screaming until I closed the box tight. By the time I went back upstairs, it was almost time to get ready for school. I was breathing hard when I finished telling Sabrina the story. I could feel that my face was still bright red. Sabrina had her hands on my arm, shook her head. Listen to me, Carly Beth, she whispered. You have to get that mask out of your house. You're really scaring me. I swallowed. My mouth suddenly felt very dry. Where can I take it? I asked. I don't want anyone to find it. Take it anywhere, Sabrina said, squeezing my arm. Bury it in the woods. Toss it in the river. But what if it floats? I said. What if someone fishes it out, puts it on? Can't let that happen to anyone, Sabrina. It's too horrifying. When I wore it, it changed me. You remember, I turned angry and evil. You couldn't pull it off. The mask attached itself to my skin. Shh. She raised a finger to her lips. Of course I remember, she said. Held up both hands. Her plastic bracelets rattled. Look, I'm shaking. I'm shaking all over. That's why you have to get that thing out of your house. Bad memories flooded over me. You can only defeat it with a symbol of love, I muttered. Sabrina stared at me. Huh? Remember? I said. I found a symbol of love. The only way to remove the mask from your face and stop its evil. Sabrina shuddered. Can we stop talking about it? You totally creeped me out. Change the subject. I want to hear more about Gary Stedman. I couldn't stop. Only one good thing came. From that Halloween, I said. The haunted mask changed me. After all that horror, I'm not the same person anymore. Sabrina rolled her eyes. It's true, I insisted. You remember how I was a class scary cat? I was afraid of my own shadow. Really, but after defeating the evil mask, I'm different, Sabrina. I'm not scared anymore. Then something warm and dry curled around my neck. A snake with glowing red eyes slid around my throat, raised its head, and opened its jaws wide. Chapter 3. The snake jerked its head back and closed its jaw. I heard laughter behind me. I wrapped my fingers around the snake, gently pulling it off my neck. Then I turned to the two boys in the seat behind me. Scared ya? Chuck Green shouted. He and his buddy Steve Boswell. He hawed some more and touched Knuckles. I ran my finger up and down the snake, petting it lightly, and handed it back to Chuck. I knew you brought Herbie in for science class today, I told him. No big deal. I twisted around in the seat so I could look at the two of them. Your jokes are lame. Give it up, dudes. Can't scare me anymore. For some reason, they thought that was a riot. You look like two grinning baboons, Sabrina said. They started scratching their armpits and ee like monkeys. Chuck and Steve aren't related, but they look like brothers. They're both tall and thin, with straight brown hair, dark brown eyes, and the same goofy grin. They dress alike, too. They always wear baggy, faded jeans and black, long-sleeved t-shirts. Don't know why. But all they want to do is scare me and make me scream. They just don't realize how different I am now. Steve leaned over and messed up my hair. It's almost Halloween, he said. You gonna hide under your bed this year till it's over? Chuck hee-hawed some more like it was a real funny joke. Sabrina and I rolled our eyes. I just saw something kind of scary, I said. Like what? Pointing out the window. Wasn't that your house I went by 3 or 4 blocks ago? Huh? They both jumped and grabbed their backpacks and went running to the front of the bus. Hey, stop! Stop! Sabrina and I laughed as they scrambled off the bus, waved out the window as the bus pulled away. They're totally immature, Sabrina said. They shouldn't. Shouldn't they be repeating the 4th grade or something? I smoothed my hair down with both hands, settled back in my seat, and still feel the chill of the snake on my neck. Sabrina waved to someone out the window. Her plastic bracelets jangled. Then she turned and started saying something to me. I couldn't hear her. It sounded far away. It was like an echo of an echo, drowned out by my high, frightening scream. The scream of the haunted... By a high, frightening scream. The scream of the haunted mask. I struggled to hear Sabrina, but I couldn't shut out the mask's shrill wail. Couldn't shut it out. Couldn't shut it out. I covered my ears, hoping it would stop. What's wrong, Carly Bev? Sabrina gripped my hand, started shaking me. What's wrong? Don't you hear it? I cried. She squinted a little at me. Hear what? No. Is it inside my head now? What am I gonna do? Chapter 4. Sabrina and I climbed off the bus at the last stop. The screaming in my ear had faded. I felt a little dizzy and weird. Took a long, deep breath. The air smelled so fresh here at the farm at the edge of town. It smelled like cut grass and autumn leaves and flowers. Sabrina and I started walking up the gravel path to the tall white farmhouse. The window in front of the house glowed red in the late afternoon sun. The house stood in the middle of a wide green pasture. Beyond the pasture stood a big apple tree orchard. Our shoes crunched over the gravel. We passed the red and white sign that read, "Tumble Down Farms." A cool October breeze rattled the sign. A branch of squawking blackbirds perched on the satellite dish behind the house. High in the sky, I saw a red hawk swoop low, then float up again. The wind made the tall pasture grass tilt one way, then the other. "Almost Halloween," Sabrina muttered, leaning into the wind. "I have to think of some Halloween projects for the little beast." Our new job was helping Miss Lang take care of 8 kindergartners, her kids in the Tumble Down Farms after-school program. "Don't call them beasts," I scolded. "I think they're cute." "Cute?" Sabrina's dark eyes flashed. "Do you call stuffing crayons up your nose cute?" "Only Jessie did that," I said, "and we got the crayons out with only a little crying, didn't we?" "Mrs. Lang says there's one bad apple in every bushel," Sabrina said. I shook my head. "Jessie's not a bad apple. He's only 5. "Colin's my favorite," Sabrina said. "It's like a miniature old gentleman. You tell him to do something, he gives you a sharp salute and then does it." "Colin still sucks his thumb," I said. She shrugged. "No one's perfect." "Angela's perfect," I said. "Those red curls and green eyes. Could be a kid supermodel or something." "Super spoiled, you mean?" Sabrina replied. "The way she always has to sit in your lap." "She's sweet," I said. "You're just jealous." I climbed up the wooden steps to the front porch, and scraping our shoes on the welcome mat, I could hear the kids' voices inside, high and shrill. Some kind of argument. I could hear Jessie trying to outshout the others. Tumble Down Farm is one of the oldest farms in the state. My dad told me it used to be a real working farm where they grew potatoes, tomatoes, and corn, and a lot of other crops. Farm family sold it, moved away a long time ago. Now it's a place people go to on weekends, almost like a theme park. There's apple orchards, a petting zoo, 2 restaurants, an art gallery, and a big souvenir shop, hayride, and a kids club. I pushed open the door and we stepped into the front room. Warm air washed over my face. I took a deep breath. The house smelled like chocolate. Mrs. Lang always baked cookies on Friday. "Gimme, gimme!" I heard Jessie shouting in the playroom. Sabrina and I tossed our coats and backpack down on the bench near the door. I hurried to the playroom. First thing I saw was Angela sitting at the art table crying, an overturned cup in front of her, a big puddle of chocolate milks spreading over the table. Turned to the window, saw Jessie and Harmony having an angry tug-of-war with the red plastic frisbee. "Gimme, gimme!" He was fierce. Laura Henry ran into the room, carrying a roll of paper towels. She leaned over Angela and started mopping up the spilled chocolate milk. She saw Sabrina and me. She let out a sigh of relief. "Thank goodness you're here," she said. "The kids are totally wired today. Think it's a full moon or something." I laughed. "Laura, it's still daytime," I said. I don't know." "I mean, you learn some things in customer service, that's for sure. It doesn't matter if it ain't nighttime. That full moon is something." Full moon be something. Crossed the room to Jessie and Harmony to see if I could settle the frisbee war. Sabrina carried some tissues over to Howard, who was screaming that he had to blow his nose. "Where's Mrs. Lang?" I asked. "She had a problem with one of the restaurants," Laura replied. "She left me in charge." She blew a strand of hair off her forehead. "Then things got out of control." Laura's 12, our age, short and thin, with a very pale white skin. silvery gray eyes, and a long tangle of white blonde hair that she constantly pushing back or untangling or twisting around her fingers. Today she wore a short denim skirt over black leggings, a red and white tumble-down farm sweatshirt with the sleeves rolled up to her elbows. Must be a warm fall day then, because rolled up elbows and 2 t-shirts and a vest. No one's got their arms covered. Must not be that hot out. It can't be like too warm out if you're wearing 2 t-shirts and a vest and a sweater. I don't know. What is that balancing act? I usually go long sleeve before I even go sweater. Unless it's just like a hoodie, but that's different. Laura doesn't go to our school. She goes to a private school. I think she lives close to the farm. She helps Mrs. Lang with the after-school program and a lot of the chores. She's kind of hard to get to know. I think she's really shy. I took the frisbee from Jessie and Harmony and swung it behind my back. No frisbee in the house, I said. Let's do something else, okay? Harmony spun again away to join Angela at the art table. Jessie took a step back. Suddenly his eyes went wide and his mouth twisted in horror. Pointing up. Your face! He cried. Carly Beth, your face! Why is it so ugly? I let out a gasp. What was he staring at? The mask? How could that be? No, he's just being a dick. Chapter 5. I staggered back, raised my hands to my cheeks. Jessie burst out laughing. Gotcha! He said. Gave a hard shove. Gotcha, Carly Beth! Did a crazy dance around the room, laughing like a wild man. I felt like a total jerk. How stressed was I? I let a 5-year-old frighten me. Get a grip, Carly Beth. Mrs. Lang came trotting in. She never walks. She runs. She's a tall, heavy woman. Looked older than my parents. Bright orange hair, rosy cheeks, green eyes. Wears baggy plaid flannel shirts, long skirts down to the floor, and cowboy boots. That is certainly a fashion statement. Does she have a hat to complete the look? She's a total energy machine. I've never seen her sit down. She talks so fast as she talks as fast as she moves. What are y'all doing indoors on such a beautiful day? She boomed. Yeah, let's give her the southern bell thing. Bit chipper take on it, like really chipper. She boomed. She gathered up energy drink cups. Empty drink cups. Get outside! Smell that fresh farm air! She picked something out of Colin's hair, patted Angela's cheek. I know what! Go pick apples! Falling off the trees! Get the buckets behind the house! Fill them up here! Go on, get! Practically shooed us out. Sabrina followed me out the door. This is a good idea, she said. Let them blow off some steam. Well, that's exactly what they did. Kids went tearing across the passage, shouting and pushing one another, dancing and screaming. Sabrina and I grabbed buckets and ran after them. Hey, stick together, I shouted. Followed them in the thick tangle of apple trees. Stick together, don't get lost. The air grew cooler as we moved under the shade of the tree, and the ground, thick with leaves, grew soft and squishy. Jessie, don't throw apples, Sabrina shouted. Hey, stop! No throwing, I yelled. You could hurt somebody. Hey! Angela came running at me, crying and rubbing her head. Jessie hit me. I hugged her and gave her head a kiss. All better. Oh, yuck. Howard was making faces, bending over something in the leaves. Other kids hurried to join him. Oh, yuck, that's sick. I hurried over to them. Jessie was poking something with a stick. Peered down. A rotten apple, bulging with purple worms. Barf. Howard groaned. Think I'm gonna barf. He held his hand over his mouth. I took him gently by the shoulder and moved him away. Just don't look at it, I said. He'll be fine. He held up 2 buckets in front of him. Or Sabrina and I shooed everyone away from there. They took off again, shouting and spinning through the trees. Held up 2 buckets in front of me. Hey, doesn't anyone want to pick apples? We came here to pick apples, Sabrina shouted. Hey, anyone? An apple sailed past my head, several kids laughing. Stop it, Howard! I heard Harmony shout. That's so not funny! I couldn't see her. She stood behind the trunk of an apple tree. Hear the crackle of leaves all around as kids ran in every direction. Ever get that helpless feeling? Sabrina asked me. I laughed. You're right, they are beasts, at least today. We followed the kids through the trees. These to the far side of the orchard. Some of them were jumping over a low wooden fence that had fallen over. A field of tall grass and weeds stretched beyond the fence. In the corner of the field, I squinted into the late afternoon sun, a red ball just above the trees. What is that? I asked Sabrina, who stepped up beside me. Looks like a longhouse or shed. What would a house be doing way back here? The stable, Sabrina said, shielded her eyes from the sun. Been abandoned for years. It's falling down. Yes, the windows are all broken. One wall had fallen in. Part of the shingled roof had collapsed. I turned and saw Howard and Jessie. He darting across the field, pulling Harmony with them. They're heading for the empty stable. Come back, Sabrina shouted. Hey, you guys, come back! They giggled and kept running. Several of the kids began to follow them. I cupped my hands around my mouth to shout to them, but I stopped when I heard the sound. I listened hard. What was that? A horse whinny? Whinny? Or whinny? That's a weird word when you think about it. From the abandoned stables. Impossible, I told myself. There, I heard it again. Poked Sabrina in the side. You hear that? She frowned at me. Hear what? Thought I heard something. A horse, maybe. Go check out the old stable, I said, started pushing through the tall grass. No, wait! Sabrina grabbed my arm and held me back. Carly Beth, I know you love horses, but the stable looks dangerous. It's falling down. We should stop the kids. We have to get them back to Miss Lang. Come on. Just take a quick peek, I said. I grabbed Sabrina's hand and started to drag her through the field. We didn't get far. After 5 or 6 steps, we heard a frightened voice yell from us from behind. I'm gonna guess Miss Lang. No! Don't go there! Alright, chapter 6. I spun around. Laura stood behind me at the edge of the apple orchard. Her blonde hair... Oh, okay, it wasn't Miss Lang, okay. Her blonde hair blew wildly across her face. She waved frantically, shouting for us to come back. So Sabrina and I rounded up the kids. Pretty easy to herd back. Long walk and all the running and screaming had them tired out. Their parents and babysitters were waiting in the front room to take them home. Sabrina and Laura and I stuffed them in their coats and hats, and they were gone. Silence. The only sound now were the rattles of the old windows against the wind, and steady ticking of the grandfather clock in the front hallway. The 3 of us cleaned up the playroom, and then we headed to the kitchen. It was an enormous old farmhouse kitchen, with a wide window across the back of the house, looking out on the pasture. Laura had a pot of hot chocolate on the stove, poured it into tall white mugs, sat down to sip it and relax at the kitchen table with a red and white checkered tablecloth. So what's the deal with the abandoned stable? I asked. Why'd you yell like that? Laura slowly twirled her mug between her pale hands. Don't you know about that old stable? She asked me in a hushed voice. A hard gust of wind rattled the kitchen windows. Sabrina and I shook our heads. We never walked there before, I said. Laura nodded. She took a sip of hot chocolate. Scary story, she said. Miss Lang told me a whole thing. It's actually very sad. I leaned forward. Scary story? What do you mean? Laura curled a strand of hair between her fingers, kept her eyes on the window. It was a riding stable many years ago, she started. Very popular. Beautiful horses. Well cared for and well groomed. Took another sip from her mug and held it between her hands. One night, people in the farmhouse heard screams, high-pitched shrieks and screams. Not human screams. They knew they couldn't be human screams. I suddenly had a cold feeling in the pit of my stomach. What do you mean? Who was screaming? I asked. Screams were shrill and frightened, Laura continued. They came from the stable. The horses were screaming. Twisted and untwisted her hair. I've never heard a horse scream. Have you? I swallowed. It must have been terrifying, but everyone went running to the stables, pulled open the door, and found the horses dead, Laura said. All of them lying against the wall in a heap. All dead. Huh? I gasped. Why? What killed them? Panic, Laura replied. All died from fear. Sabrina had her hands up to her cheeks. Her dark eyes were wide with horror. Why? She asked. Wind rattled the windows again. I shivered. I love horses. I wanted to work after school in the stable near my house. They didn't have a job for me, so I ended up at Tumble, Old Down Farms. Stable boy is blamed, Laura said. He sneaked into the stable one night. They think he wanted to scare the horse groomer, or maybe someone else in the stable. He scared the horses instead? I asked. Laura nodded. You could hear them screeching and wailing for miles. They went insane. They're locked inside the stable. They stampeded, crushed each other against the door, against the stable wall. Stable boy fell under their hooves and was kicked to death. Oh, wow, I muttered. I glanced across the table at Sabrina. She hadn't taken a sip of her hot chocolate. She had her eyes down. That's the story according to Mrs. Lang, Laura said. I warned you it was sad. Can you imagine opening the stable door, finding the horses in a heap, dead? I doubt they just left them there. I swallowed hard. But how exactly did he scare the horses? Laura let out a long breath. Her face was even paler than usual. You'll never believe it, she said. Farmers claimed it was all caused by a mask. A hideous Halloween mask. Laura shook her head. When they cleaned up the stable, the ugly mask was nowhere to be found. Totally disappeared. Heard a thud. I was so upset by Laura's story I didn't realize I knocked over my cocoa mug. Hot liquid ran down my jeans. Carly Beth, are you okay? I heard Sabrina, but I was too deep in thought to answer. Carly Beth, are you okay? Carly Beth! Why does everyone keep using your name like that? Chapter 7. Could she be talking about the same mask? My heart pounded in my chest. I pictured the mask, so hideous with its wrinkles, warty green flesh, its crooked robe, jagged fangs. I glanced up. Sabrina was mopping up the spilled hot cocoa. She put a hand on my shoulder. Earth calling Carly Bav, she whispered. I blinked, focused on Laura. Did Miss Lang tell you anything else about the stable boy's mask? I asked her. Shook her head. No, just that there's a legend about it, about how it always appears at Halloween time. I sent a chill down the back of my neck. Laura narrowed her silvery gray eyes at me. Why are you so interested, Carly Beth? It's just so sad, I stammered. No, it's weird, Sabrina said. Carly Beth said she heard a horse whinny in the old stable. Laura squinted at me. No way. That's part of the story. The ghosts of the horses remain in the stable. She heard a horse, Sabrina insisted. Definitely a horse whinnying. Right, Carly Beth? Before I could answer, Mrs. Lang came bursting in. Her arms were loaded down with firewood log, dumped in front of the old pot-belly stove at the back of the kitchen. Y'all talking about our famous haunted stable? She asked, wiping her hands off on her long skirt. Then she grabbed a mug, emptied the hot chocolate pot into it. It's fun to tell ghost stories at Halloween, she said. I don't believe in ghosts, but you know what everyone says, don't you? The old stable's haunted, those poor horses and that stable boy. We stared at her. You mean the stable boy's ghost is still there? I asked. Miss Lang nodded. They say he won't leave until he gets his Halloween mask back. Couldn't help myself. Let out a sharp cry. Across the table, Laura stared at me. What's wrong, Carly Beth? Miss Lang laughed. Maybe Carly Beth just doesn't like ghost stories, she said. Right, I said. face suddenly felt hot. Scary stories always give me nightmares. Miss Teacher Lady, what are we reading today? Well, the title says it. We are reading Goosebumps HorrorLand's Volume 4, The Scream of the Haunted Mask. Also, welcome to the stream. And thanks to the hydrate. Not gonna call you Miss Fishy today. I'm not feeling good. Sorry, Miss Fishy. Yeah, fucking everyone's sick around me, I swear. And none of them live in the same damn place. People I live with are sick. Ian is sick. Ghastly was sick like 2 weeks ago. Mr. Mustache is sick. Snowy's sick. So many people are frickin' sick. And none of them live in the same area. I'm sure there's more people I'm forgetting, but those are the people I remember right now. I jumped up. Come on, Sabrina. The bus will be here any minute. Sabrina and I hurried to put on our coats. We walked down the gravel path to the road, and we were both asking ourselves the same question. The stable boy had the same mask all those years ago. A mask that's in my basement. Was the boy ghost in the abandoned stable waiting to get it back? At dinner, I couldn't stop thinking about Laura's story. About the poor horses screaming their head off, stampeding to the wall and dying in a horrible panic. About the mask. The ugly, terrifying mask. Harley Beth, are you awake? Dad asked. Didn't you hear me asking about your job? Oh, no, sorry, I muttered. Maybe she's a zombie, my little brother Noah said. Let's see. He pinched my arm really hard. Hey! I jerked my arm away. Give me a break, Noah. Noah giggled and tried to pinch me again. Brat, you're worse than the 5-year-olds, I said. You're worse than the 4-year-olds, he said. Oh, clever. Those kids may have run you ragged today, Mom said. Or must have run you ragged today, Mom said. She reached over and moved back my hair. Yeah, they were pretty wild, I muttered. You're worse than the 2-year-olds, Noah said, and giggled some more. Can I be excused, I asked. Hurried up to my room. Had a lot of homework. But I couldn't concentrate on it. Kept worrying about the haunted mask. Thought about last night. How it pulled me down into the basement against my will. How it forced me to take it out of its hiding place. How it almost made me pull it down over my head. How it screamed. I was totally freaked last night. Such a close call. Did I leave the metal box open? Did I lock it away? I couldn't remember. I paced back and forth in my room, thinking hard. Thinking about the boy in the stable, the horses, the mask in the basement. I realized I had no choice. I had to make sure the mask was safely tucked in the hiding place. I had to be sure the box was locked tight. I crept out of the room and made my way down to the basement stairs. You hear Mom and Dad in the den. They're shouting and cheering as guns fired and bombs exploded. Hooray for war! No. My parents recently discovered video games. Oh, okay. That's shocking. Almost every night after dinner, they would play. They were in the front of the widescreen TV, playing War Master 2 in high definition. They were playing the Goosebumps video game. Totally weird. I gripped the handle to the basement door and took a deep breath. I didn't want to go down there. The scream of the mask still echoed in my ears. But I had to make sure I had locked it away. I pulled open the door. I clicked on the basement light and started down the steep wooden stairs. Again, they creaked under my feet. I made it halfway down. I could hear the loud hum of the furnace. Over that hum I heard a whisper. Sucked in a deep breath and listened. Yes. A whispered voice, harsh and raspy. Golly Bev, Golly Bev, I'm here, Golly Bev. I'm gonna guess it's your little brother again. Chapter 8. A scream burst from my throat. My legs started to buckle. Grabbed the banister to keep from falling. Furnace hum turned to a roar in my ears. Struggled to hear the whispered voice. Silence now. Silence. And then a high-pitched giggle. I gasped. Noah! I stepped into the light of the bottom of the stairs and did a crazy dance. Or he stepped into the light of the bottom of the stairs and did a crazy dance. Noah, that's not funny, I choked angrily. Ran down the rest of the stairs and wrapped my hands around his scrawny neck. I could strangle you, you creep! He giggled some more and ducked out of my grasp. What are you doing down here? I cried. He grinned at me. You're always telling people how brave you are, Curly Beth, but I heard you scream. I did not, I shouted. Did too. I just screamed to give you a thrill, I said. Yeah, right, he rolled his eyes. He pushed me out of the way and darted upstairs. Bye, chicken! Slammed the basement door behind me. Stood there gazing around the basement, waiting for my heart to stop racing. Was Noah right? Was I brave now? Was I just pretending? No, stop thinking about it, I told myself. I wanted to be brave. I didn't have to be a scaredy cat Carly Beth from last year. Pushed my hair out of my eyes, took another deep breath, and started across the basement to the storage room. I stopped when I passed by horse posters on the playroom wall. The horses were so beautiful. Once again I pictured the horrifying stampede of the screaming horse in that old stable. Would I ever be able to get that story out of my mind? I stepped slowly into the storage room and pulled the string to turn on the ceiling bulb, blinking the yellow light. I hurried at the pile of cartons in the corner. Oh no. The black metal box on the basement floor for the cartons. Last night I locked the box back inside, but I was so freaked I didn't hide the box away. Now I bent down, lifted it off the floor with both hands. Hey! Let out a sharp cry. The mask! Bumping against the side of the box, trying to escape. And this time the whispers didn't come from Noah. They came from inside the box. Almost Halloween. Almost Halloween. Chapter 9. A few days later, on Saturday afternoon, I was home babysitting Noah. So far, he wasn't in any trouble. He was in his room. You could hear him laughing. Watching the show he thinks are so hilarious on Disney Channel. Oh, we are apparently allowed to say Disney. Why, actually? Why are we allowed to say Disney? I was sitting in my room, staring at the bottle of hair color I bought at the drugstore. My plan was to put some blonde highlights in my hair. Bold move, maybe too bold. Decided to wait and talk to Sabrina about it. Phone rang. It was Sabrina. Did you hear about Sarah David? Sarah's a girl in our class who changes her hair color all the time. She told us she'd been wearing lipstick since she was 5. I don't think that's a flex. What about Sarah? I asked. She went to the mall to buy a birthday present for her mother and got her nose pierced, Sabrina said. It's a weird birthday present, I said. We both laughed. It's a tiny little diamond in her nose, Sabrina said. Does her mother know? Sabrina asked her first, I asked. No, she's not going to say anything. Sarah says no one ever pays any attention to her. Gonna wait and see if anyone in the family notices. Oh, one of those situations. Gotcha. Side note, that's hella illegal. I'm pretty sure. I heard Noah laughing his head off in the next room. I had an idea, Sabrina said. You're going to get your nose pierced, I asked. No, about school. You know the report we have to write about local legends? I'm going to write mine about that abandoned stable. Picture the old stable, the walls falling in, the tall grass growing over the doors. Such a creepy story. Make a good report, Sabrina said. Gonna interview Mrs. Lang next week. I want to go take some pictures inside the stable. Inside, I said. Yes, you know, all the empty stalls, Sabrina said. Come with me, okay? Want to go now? I can't, I said. I'm babysitting Noah. Animal. I wanted to say I didn't want to go back to that stable anyways. Quickly changed my mind. Perfect time to prove that I was over my fears. How about tonight after dinner? Sabrina asked. Sure, I said. Meet you at the bus stop. Took a deep breath. Just an abandoned stable. What could happen? I mean, it's also rotting. So, you know, even if nothing horror-esque happens, it could still be disastrous. Hi, Link. Welcome to the stream. Glad you could swing on in. We're reading Goosebumps HorrorLand, The Scream of the Haunted Mass today. I hope you enjoy yourself. I'll leave you alone for a couple of months until I come back to you. I keep getting reactions very similar to that. Yes, I got my first new model. Isn't that wonderful? Aren't I hot? I mean, you can't really, see everything because of the prop that I have here. But, I can peek around here. Look, I got abs. I'm so hot. And worry not, worry not. We still have the kimono. Hey, where'd the legs go? Come back. Bro, out here sounded like a new female teacher. New young female teacher? Sounding like, oh. Oh, I'm glad my practice is paying off then. Might be a bit too big. Trying to get the scale right here. Expanding or just improving my vocal range is always the goal. But I'm glad you like it. Or at the very least notice it. Chapter 10. The sun was dropping behind the trees as Sabrina and I rode the bus to the edge of town. I watched the shadows creep over the passing houses and lawns. We climbed off the bus that tumbled down farms. I saw only one light on in the upstairs window of the farmhouse. We turned away from the gravel path and made our way through the apple orchard. Insects buzzed in the field behind the house. I led the way to the stable, pushing the tall grass ahead to make a path for us. The hard dirt crunched under our shoes. I heard animals scampering through the dry grass and weeds. The sky grew darker. Clouds covered the moon. I shivered as a gust of cold wind blew inside my jacket. I brought a flashlight, Sabrina said. I heard a click. A circle of white lights swept over the grass. Look, there's the stable. She raised the light higher. Cute. Hi, Andy. Welcome to the stream. And yeah, and I don't know about cute, but I am pretty damn hot in this form. I could see the long, low building, black against the pink-gray sky. Ow! I cried as sharp pains dug my forearm. Mosquito? In October? I slap at it. Too late. Come on, it's getting really dark, Sabrina said. Ah, the haunted mastermind. You know, the episode. I haven't seen very many of the episodes of Goosebumps. Good R.L. Stine still using his classic villains. Except Slappy. Fuck Slappy. I've gone on a long-ass tangent of my dislike for Slappy. Everyone using the cross-leg layer now. Just V2's massive middle finger to Twitch. Hey, I can't show no hip, but they didn't say nothing about feet. Or legs. Not that this outfit shows hip. But you know, my model mom actually made this one. And maybe at some point I'll commission her to customize his skin to match mine perfectly. But until then, you'll have to do with my rough recolorization. Anyways, welcome to the stream, Mr. Mustache. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Also, especially Slappy who gets all the buffs, Slappy can go fuck himself. Fucking hate Slappy. Slappy can rot in hell. I know he never will, but he can. Sup, just popping in on break. Alright, well I'm glad you could swing on in. We decided to do a reading stream today. Also, weren't you sick, bitch? My favorite thing about Slappy is his plot armor. But we can't read. Think again, motherfuckers. I can read. What, you think I'm just playing Fate? And, using words that aren't there? Nah, I'm reading it. I went to school in Florida. I mean, I went to school in the Midwest. The curriculum isn't that good either, but like, I know how to read. Can't spell worth a damn, but I can read. But that spelling is just a skill issue for me. Come on, it's getting really dark, Sabrina said. Started to run, the beam of light bouncing on the ground in front of her. Her book is Invasion of the Body Squeezers. I don't think I've heard of that one. I also love Terror Toys, battery not included. I think I've heard that one, but I don't think I've read it. Let's look up these books. My favorite book is 40,000 in Gehenna. Okay, let's look up these books. 40,000 in Gehenna. Okay, well, it's not what I was thinking you were talking about. Finding out these villains from both plot lines for the terrible hidden objects game. What do you mean terrible hidden objects game? I've seen glowing reviews for their older point and click adventure. Really boring unless you like multi-generational sci-fis. As with no main characters. Gehenna reminds me of Lokomon's special attack. Well, according to Wikipedia, 40,000 in Gehenna is a 1983 science fiction novel by C.J. Kyrolf. I'm guaranteed not pronouncing that right. Cherryh. Cherry? Cherry? With an H? It's just cherry with an extra H at the end. I should. That's weird. Alright, what were some of the others? Close enough. I hope so. It's the best I'm gonna get. Alright, now, Terror Toys. Terror Toys. Batteries not included. Let's see, this one released in 1997. Oh, it's one of the Choose Your Own Adventure ones. Yeah, they did use Annihilator 30,000 Officer Murphy in the games. Alright, let's check out the other one. Invasion of the Body Squeezers. Invasion... Trying to type with one hand is difficult. Squeezers... Oh, this is a two-parter. Oh, I've seen this. Well, I've seen this cover. I don't know if I actually read it before, though. One route you get a killer toy robot, and the other route you visit the evil toy factory. Makes sense. Anatomy for Hell. Sci-fi about a planet that we named, and about how it changed the people who got to live there. The whole book's synopsis on what it really means to be human. Have you guys ever read the My Teacher is an Alien series? My Teacher Fried My Brain, My Teacher Flunked the Planet. You guys ever read those books? Foam, you might like them, if you like alien sort of stories that are very philosophical. Oh, when your kitties is feeling less skittish now. You ready to go now? It's okay, the people are gone. We had a fridge show up today, and she's very skittish around people she doesn't know. Hold on. Alright, the cat was not ready to leave the room yet. Sorry about that. Doppel, be careful. Beast from the East is he's a high level opponent. I remember reading that, but I don't remember anything about it. Also, what does the part 2 look like? The original was released in 1998. I might have seen this cover as well. Oh, it was also released in 1998. So they were ready with this one. It wasn't one of those retroactive ones. Oh, that's interesting. The wiki actually breaks down the roots. That's pretty cool. Man, I think the striking thing of Beast from the East was the cover. Because it's like this kind of creepy primate just kind of reaching for you. Attack of the Mass Mutant. Oh, that's actually my favorite one. Like, legit, it's my favorite one. It's a shame they never used the Mass Mutant again. Or, the main character after he got powers. Attack of the Mutant. Yeah, it's a real shame they didn't use him again. Unless there's something I wasn't aware of. He's apparently in a video game. He's in Goosebumps Horror Town. That's not the same thing as HorrorLand. This is a mobile game. What the hell? I love how we just always get so sidetracked with this. I remember Mass Mutant even had a video game dedicated to him. It doesn't seem like it was dedicated completely to him. Goosebumps Horror Town. Let's see if we can't find some pictures of this thing. Because I looked up Goosebumps HorrorLand video game earlier, and it actually looked like something we could potentially play. Horror Town. I'll have to emulate it, of course, because it was back on the PS2. Horror Town's a mobile game. Trying to see if there's any like screenshots of the actual gameplay. Yeah, not the mobile? Weird, that was all I was finding for him. Because this is his list of appearances. Oh wait! Video games also has Attack of the Mutant. So they adapted the book into a video game. Goosebumps Attack the Mutant video game. Oh, that is some old 3D. Oh, that looks so weird. Seems like the kind of game that you'd find someone else have, but you never actually owned. You know, let you fight against Max Mutant's henchmen too. I see, I see. Yeah, this is exactly the kind of game that you never owned, but someone you knew owned it. And you played it every now and then, or like a library had it. Like, this feels like that kind of game. I wonder how much this game goes for. Like, because, like, games don't really have, or PCs don't usually have disk drives, not like I could get it via that. I'd have to download it from some abandonware site, I'm sure. But, like, I wonder how much these discs run for. Very curious. Just 20 bucks? That's not so bad. Well, approximately 15 USD plus $10 shipping. Yeah, that's not too bad. I was expecting it to be more. What is this 10? It's 10 of Goosebump books. Huh. Games like Goosebumps, Attack the Mutants. Oh, like it. Okay, so that's not. Oh wait, no, that can't be. Must be only like it, because that is not at all similar to what I was looking at before. The Attack of the Mutants game is make me think like Doom clone or like Hugo, and I mean like Hugo 3D. Yeah, it's giving me real Wolfenstein Doom vibes. Also, hi, cute, float burrito. Dude, again, it's old fuck technology. Yeah. You know, if I could ever figure out downloading it and then, like, playing it in some reasonable capacity, I could potentially stream that. Potentially. We'd test it out, of course, but yeah, that's interesting. What about the mobile game? I just want to see some fucking screenshots of this thing. Oh. Not kind of cute, but nothing really to write home about. Looks like it's one of those town builders. The true Indians get all the superhero costume pieces. Makes sense, makes sense. Well, if I can never figure that out, we just might. There's also some other Goosebumps games we might try. I remember Curly and Slappy both are huge in the mobile game, where we unleash monsters or help kids investigate monsters. I mean, I was looking at Horror Town. Are there other Goosebump mobile games? I wonder if there's one currently running. I know we're getting really off track, but like... Goosebump Night of Scares. Is this one currently going? Wait, this one kind of looks like what's on Steam. Wait, is Horror Town currently still available? I guess it is. I didn't expect Horror Town to still be going. Night of Scares. Do mean Horror Town. Also, yo, did you like stay out of the basement? Let me double check which one that was. Stay out of the basement. Oh, that was an interesting one. I don't remember everything about it. I don't remember it was like plant-based. Yeah. It didn't end up being that bad. Hold on, I'm gonna pop open Steam for a moment here. Goosebumps. Okay, it's not the same game. Goosebumps Dead at Night came out in 2020. That's what I was confusing one of the other games for. And the point and click adventure seems to have... It's just called Goosebumps the game. It seems to actually have some pretty good reviews. There was a Escape from Horrorland FMV adventure game? It was one of the first enemies you come across in Goosebumps the game. Much freakier in the book than in the episode. I read the book. I just don't remember them being that bad. Goosebumps Escape from Horrorland video game. Is this what I looked up earlier? I don't think it is. It said this one's F&V. Like a point and click adventure F&V. Ooh. I think I would have loved this as a kid. This looks kind of sick. Like these renderings? These renderings are really cool. Yo, I might have been into this as a kid. Might being the key word, can't really guarantee. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. I also really liked How I Got My Shrunken Head. That one was really good. That one felt more like an adventure story than a horror story. I remember the photo development puzzle in Goosebumps the game being kind of annoying. I wouldn't know because I've never played it. I just saw that people seemed to enjoy it. Thought it was a good kids game. Also guaranteed, we're not gonna read Slappy World. I know it's like a completely different spin-off. Unless it's required for the conclusion of Horrorland, I will be avoiding Slappy World, because I fucking hate Slappy. Other than that, it can be a bit god, but it's not bad. I didn't really grow up with too many point and click adventures. Know how much R.S. Stine loves Slappy maybe a bit too much. Oh, Mr. Stine. Could you finally throw him in a pit of hell and leave him there? I fucking hate Slappy. Oh, Cuckoo Clock of Doom was really good too. And Don't Fall Asleep. And Let's Get Invisible was weird. And How I Learned to Fly. Favorite part of Cuckoo Clock Doom was the ending. I don't remember the exact ending. I know everything got reversed, but I don't remember what happened after that. I know there's always like that cliffhanger one. One of the few Goosebumps with a good ending. Okay. I know there's usually like a cliffhanger, but I couldn't remember what that one would be. Yeah. There aren't many that have good endings. I think I mentioned my favorites being ones that have like pretty good endings. Cuckoo Clock of Doom and How I Learned to Fly, How I Got My Shrunken Head. Those all have good endings. And Attack of the Mutant does too. Maybe that's why I like them. I mean, granted, I also like the HorrorLand series, and that one doesn't. Well, that one has a good ending, but it's pretty touch and go there. Wait up! I called. My eyes were on the stable. Boards on one wall was cracked and rotting away. Another wall had fallen in. Weeds grew out of the windows. The window shutters were all broken and tilting to the ground. I hurried along the side of the stable towards the front. I stopped when my shoes sank into something soft. "Sabrina, look!" I crawled. She was at the door and didn't hear me. Stared at my shoes, standing in a small square of soft, clunky dirt. Looked as if it had been freshly dug up. A disturbing thought flashed in my mind. It's a small grave. That was crazy. Who would dig a grave back here? I kicked the dirt off my shoes and joined Sabrina in the double doors. One door was wide open, solid blackness inside, sour smell of straw, dirt, and decay. I could feel my heart starting to pound a little harder. Birds cried in the trees behind us, as if nothing, or as if to warning us to stay away. I heard the loud hoot hoot of a barn owl. I grabbed Sabrina's arm. "What's wrong?" she cried. "I brought something," I said. Held up the plastic bag I'd been carrying. Pulled out a bunch of carrots. Sabrina raised the flashlight. "Carrots? Carly Beth, why?" One of my favorites is Deep Trouble because it's obviously ghost written. It was? Why do you say that? I'm very curious. I mean, some of these books being ghost written wouldn't be a surprise with how big the series is, but like, what would be the giveaway points? Because Deep Trouble also got a sequel and then a HorrorLand spin-off. It's much, much different than R.L. Stine's style, like very different. I might have to reread the original Deep Trouble then at some point and see what you mean. I mean, it's possible he just wanted to change something up, but at the same time, like I said before, the series is big, it wouldn't be surprising if some were ghost written. Then again, Deep Trouble is one of the earlier books in the series, so I don't know how that'd work out. Like, were they just using Stine's name by that point? And just being like, hey, we need, like, this to be a big collection of things. I don't know. I don't know the process behind the stream. Behind the scenes. Behind the screams. I shrugged. I don't know why. The ghost horses, I guess. She rolled her eyes. Are you getting weird or what? You don't really believe in ghost horses, do you? I didn't answer. Took Sabrina's hand, pulled her through the open door to the dark stable. Sour smell grew stronger. The air felt heavy, cold, and damp, like stepping into a refrigerator. Actually, you know what? Hold up. That's gonna bother me. I wonder. Would it be on the wiki? Deep Trouble. Goosebumps. 19th book, the first Doppel and Deep Book Saga, first published. Then, author, cover author. Differences: Portugal, 20th book, the original Portuguese translation of the story. There are notable differences. Israel, the 6th book in the original series. Adapted into Goosebumps graphics. It was one of 3 Goosebumps books to win a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice, which won in 1995. 2 winners, Even More Tales to Give You Goosebumps, was won in 1996, and the third being Deep Trouble 2, which won in 1998. Cover is misleading, sadly. All the Deep Trouble ones are misleading. None of them are tangoing with giant fish of any kind. They'll see them, sure, but aren't they like usually ghost or pirate stories, if memory serves correctly? Or, not even just that. I'm pretty sure the original I want to say the original Deep Trouble isn't even, like, supernatural in nature. It's just, like, a conspiracy. I can't remember, though. The original tagline cover is reference to tagline 1978 film's Jaws. Deep Trouble is a few books in the original series not to be adopted in the Goosebumps TV show, though its sequel was. However, the adaptation of the sequel was simply titled Deep Trouble, which led to confusion with the readers who would expect it to be adapted to the original book instead of its sequel. According to Tim Jalax's biography, Jacques used the photo of his friend Donnie to help him draw the boy on the cover of Deep Trouble. Also used a picture in the encyclopedia to draw the hammerhead. Final book of the original series used a basic font, Goosebumps title on the spine. It changes the Goosebumps logo in the next book. All books follow with the Scarecrow walking at midnight. According to the Goosebumps Holiday Collector's Cat book, the idea for the book came from R.L. Stine's nephew, Dan. The UK and Italian releases of the book are the only ones to not have the shark on the cover. Instead, they have the sea monster. The Korean release the book has a shark on the cover, but it's not a hammerhead shark like the other releases. Instead, it's a great white shark on the cover. It also has the silhouettes of additional sharks on it. Certain editions of the book were much thinner and had no barcode on the back. Additionally, later versions of the classic Goosebumps reprint were also shown skinnier in the size of retro tin editions. The book references She-Ra and Aquaman. Doesn't say anything about a ghostwriter, which you think would be on the fan wiki if something was that. Oh right, there were mermaids in the first one. Okay, according to a bit of research, Stine's never had any ghostwriters for his main works. Oh, Bad Hair Day. I remember that. That was a good one. Give Yourself Goosebumps and Tales Give You Goosebumps were ghostwritten. Sometimes had help outlining main books. The actual writing was all him. This is, guess I was misled, lol. Apparently, he's had, he's had help with books and whatnot, but but when it ever comes to writing the actual thing, he's always done it himself. Scholastic apparently has accused him in the past of, pushing all the work on other people. Seems to be a bit of a contested topic for stuff going on. Probably just Scholastic being a company. I don't know. Yeah, the rabbit isn't as cute as enough yet. Yeah, you're right. You're right. And it's alright. You just had, I wouldn't say mistaken information, because like there's a lot of things that happen behind the scenes for writing. People help with manuscripts or with storyboarding and whatnot. Sometimes it's completely flown solo. There's a lot of stuff that can happen behind the scenes. Amazo the robot or the hare? Oh, right. I guess Eno wouldn't like you comparing him to a hare, would he? The sour smell grew stronger. The air felt heavy, cold, and damp, like stepping into a refrigerator. The wind banged a shutter against the side of the stable. Our shoes slid on dry straw as we walked towards the horses' stalls. I tripped over a metal bucket, sent it rolling across the dirt floor. "Careful!" Sabrina whispered, handing me the flashlight. "Hold this while I take pictures." Here's your camera, and clicked it on. I set the bunch of carrots down in front of the first stall. Then I swept the flashlight beam around the stable. The light rolled over 2 rows of stalls with low wooden walls. They stretched all the way to the back of the stable. A shredded blanket lay over one of the stall walls. It looked as if animals had chewed it to tatters. A high mound of straw was piled in front of the first stall. I lowered the light into it. A fat brown mouse leapt out and scurried under the wall. Startled, I jumped back. The light bounced up to the stable roof. Were those bats clinging upside down to the low rafters? Sabrina was busy flashing photo after photo. Put in the ceiling, she flashed some pictures of the bats. "Over here," she whispered. Made our way to the row of stalls. The air grew warmer and damper as we stepped deeper into the stable. "Curly Beth, move the light," Sabrina said. "Check this out," pointing to a tall wooden stool lying on its side on the stable floor. I picked it up, set it down, and dusted it off with one hand. "Think the stable boy sat on the stool?" she asked. "Wouldn't that be totally weird?" Didn't give me a chance to answer. Climbed onto the stool, shoved the camera into my hands. "Take my picture sitting on this. Be great for the front of my report." "It's probably an old-ass stool, girl. It's gonna collapse under you. It's probably rotten." I raised the camera to my eyes, clicking the shutter. The flash caught Sabrina sitting in the stool with both hands raised above her head in triumph. I flashed another one. Bright light lingered in my eye. Tried to blink it away. Tall stool disappeared, or appeared to glow in the lingering circle of light. Poor stable boy stood on that stool so long ago. To get knocked over in the stampede of panic horses. Tried to force thoughts from my mind. I heard a thud, bumpy sound from one of the back stalls. "Sabrina, did you hear that?" My voice came out in a hushed whisper. She rose behind me. Yes, I heard it," she whispered. Both stood still, listening hard. A shiver ran down my neck. "I have this weird feeling," I muttered, "like we're being watched." "It had to be a mouse or a raccoon or something," Sabrina said. Another bump. Then I heard The rustle of straw. Heard something that sent a cold shudder down my spine. Chapter 11. The low whinny of a horse. The flashlight fell out of my hand and clunked on the stable floor. I grabbed Sabrina's arms. You heard it too! Before she could answer, another hoarse whinny, louder this time, so close, so very close, was drawn near the back of the stable. Yes, I heard it too, Sabrina whispered, huddled close to me. I heard another bump, like a horse bumping up against the stall wall. And then the rustle and scrape of horses and straw. The ghost story, I whispered. It's true, shaking, throat closed up, struggled to breathe. It's true, Sabrina, it's all true. It's true, Sabrina, it's all true. I squeezed her arm. My surprise, Sabrina burst out laughing, stepped away from me. Sabrina, I'm sorry, Carly Bev, she said, shaking her head. Can't keep up the joke anymore. It's too mean. I was still shaking, hugged myself, wrapped my arms around me. Joke? Sabrina cupped her hands around her mouth and shouted, Okay, Chuck and Steve can come out now. Okay, I was starting to get it. Started to figure out what was going on here. Sabrina grabbed my shoulder. Not to worry about ghost horses. Just another joke, Carly Bev, she said. Chuck's idea. Sorry. Made me bring you here. Thought it'd be funny. Breathing slowly returned to normal. I wasn't afraid anymore. I was angry. What's their problem? Okay, dudes, she shouted. Where are you? Joke's over. You can come out now. Swung the flashlight around, beaming it from stall to stall. Silent, except for the wind whistling through the cracks in the wall. Chuck, Steve, I called. Very funny. Ha ha. See, I'm laughing. You guys are a riot. Silence. No sign of them. We know you're here, Sabrina said. I tugged Sabrina towards the back. Come on. Those two jerks want to play hide and seek. Let's find them. We started at the rear stall. Sabrina aimed the light, moved it around in each stall. Blackened saddles, half buried under a pile of straw in the first stall. The second stall had a dead field mice, body nearly eaten away by insects, tiny skull poking out. Come on, guys, Sabrina shouted. Joke's over! Moved quickly down the row of stalls till we were back where we started at the front of the stable. Near in front of me. Where are they hiding? No, they were here. Lowered the flashlight. Glanced down and gasped. Sabrina, look! The carrots are gone. Chapter 12. I hugged myself to stop from shaking. Sabrina, something really weird's going on here, I whispered. No, it isn't, she replied. Now sounded angry. Chuck and Steve took the carrots. I know they did. I don't believe those two creeps. Glanced around. Where are they? Maybe they sneaked past us, I said. Grabbed the carrots and ran out of the stable while we were in the back. Maybe, Sabrina said. Pulled her cell phone from her jean pocket. Let's see, I'll call Chuck. Held the flashlight. She punched in Chuck's number on her phone. Seconds later, she said, Hey Chuck, Sabrina, where are you? A pause, then, You're home? What do you mean you're home? Steve there too? What the joke you wanted to play, remember? Carly Beth, the old stable? Standing next to Sabrina could hear Chuck's loud groan pour out the phone. Sabrina turned to me. Do you believe it? She said. They're both at Chuck's house. It was their joke. They're forgetting all about it. Clicked her phone shut. Staggered back. Brain was spinning. Boys weren't here. Who made the horse sounds? Sabrina and I both heard them. Low whinnying. Thought of horses or hooves on straw. Sabrina chewed the bottom of her lip. Her dark eyes were wide. I think maybe I'm afraid now, she muttered. Let's get out of here. We both took off running to the open stable doors, across the field, the tall weeds, grass slapping at us as we ran. The harsh October winds forced us to lower our heads. Our shoes slipped and slid over patches of wet mud and grassy ground. Again I heard the low hoot, hoot of an owl somewhere close by, and louder than the owl. Then suddenly everything changed, when Jason suddenly appeared behind them, attacked them with a machete, and said, I know what you did last summer, and then started breakdancing. But our adventure wasn't in summer. I know, you two are boring as shit. Nothing's happened since last Halloween. And louder than the owl, another hoarse whinny, this time shrill and pleading as if calling after us. No! Sabrina and I both screamed as we tore through the field, running full speed, arms flying out at our side, screamed all the way to the bus stop at the road. Our wet shoes thudding against the pavement, fell on each other, leaned on each other, breathing hard, panting, shrill hoarse cries still fresh in our ears. Come on, bus, I said, my eyes on the dark road. Come on, bus, hurry. Where's the bus? Sabrina groaned. Trees along the road creaked and shook in the wind. Clouds rolled away from the moon. Pale silver light floating down. I turned back and I could see the dark stable in the moonlight. Let out a cry when I saw a boy crouched on the flat stable roof, staring at us, not moving, just staring at us. Couldn't move. Stood there, staring back at him. How'd he get up there? Make those noises? Who is he? I just wanted to say thanks for the carrots. Run! Chapter 13. Jesse, did you take some of Colin's Legos? I held Jesse by the shoulders and gazed into his eyes. He looked away. Maybe, but I need them to finish my robot, he said. You wrecked my robot, Colin cried. My robot was better than yours. Your robot looked like a rabbit, Jesse shouted. Did not. Your robot looks like a skunk. Sabrina took Colin by the hand and led him to the table where the plastic bricks were scattered. Sat down beside him, and they started to build a new robot together. Man, we're referencing Disney and Legos? Damn. Jesse, are you gonna apologize to Colin? I asked softly. He made a face at me, then yelled at Colin. Sorry your robot looks like a dumb bunny rabbit. Ooh, Enid's not gonna be happy to hear about this. Nice apology. After the kid had left, Mrs. Lang helped Sabrina, Laura, and me clean up. I have to ask you something, she said, shoving handfuls of Legos back into the box. You them girls work on Halloween? We stopped and stared at her. You mean Halloween night? What's up? I asked. Parents thought we could have a party here for the kids. You know, give them a nice, safe Halloween. Costumes, food, games, whole deal. Willing to pay extra. Be early. You'll still have plenty of time to go out afterwards. I could do it, Laura said, brushing back her hair with both hands. No problem. Me too, Sabrina said. Get paid for Halloween? That's awesome. Count me in, I said. After the horror last night, a safe Halloween night with little kids sounded exciting to me. I love Halloween parties, Laura said. Maybe we can have a jack-o'-lantern contest. And, I know, the kids can make their own mask. That's like, or they'd like that, right? I like your enthusiasm, Mrs. Lang said. Grabbed a broom, started to sweep the floor. Carly Beth, maybe you know some good ghost stories we could tell the kids. And suddenly the robot turned the Annihilator 3000 and shot the kids with a laser beam that turned them into a half frog, half churros, and then cooked them on the grill while singing Jeepers Creepers, where'd you get those papers? I feel like that's a reference I'm not getting. The Annihilator 3000 is clearly from that Choose Your Own Adventure book. But I've heard that last line, but I don't know where it's from. Also, half frog, half churro? What's going on here? Someone took all of the acid. It's from Jeepers Creepers. I never seen Jeepers Creepers. In Fairyland, we're high on red and white shrooms 100% of the time. Clearly. Clearly. How's the internet in Fairyland? Also, I saw you asking which one we were doing in the Discord. I might as well answer it for anyone who swings into there. Number 4. Scream of the Haunted Mask. Alright. That way, if anyone else in Discord sees that, they know what we're doing here. Whoa, I shook my head. I keep thinking about the ghost of the stable boy. Too creepy. Maybe we skip the ghost stories this year. As it turns out, the haunted mask was actually a flesh mask made from Leatherface, back when it used to be in the muscle for the Sawyer clan. I don't know anything about Leatherface. I never watched Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We said goodnight to Mrs. Lang. Sabrina had to get home early because some cousins were coming for dinner. Laura headed home too. Couldn't help myself. Walked out back door, started towards the apple orchard. Knew where I was going. To the abandoned stable. Couldn't help myself. I had to see it again. The sun had already dropped behind the trees. It was a clear, cool evening. I crossed the field through the tall grass swaying in the soft breeze. I walked along the side of the stable until I came to the patch of freshly dug dirt. I gazed at it. What a puzzle. Someone was digging on this spot recently, but who and why? No way to answer those questions. I stepped around the square of dirt, hurried into the stable. The sharp smell of hay and mud greeted me. Gray lights slanted in through the small stable windows and through the large hole in the roof. I glanced around quickly. The stable was empty. Saw the tattered blanket on the stall wall. Large piles of hay along one wall with thousands of little insects crawling over them. Turned to leave, but I froze when I heard a scraping noise. Hoofs and straw? No. It sounded more like human footsteps. Spun around and shouted, "Is anyone there?" Silence, and another scraping sound. My eyes searched each stall and I knew I wasn't alone. Couldn't see anyone. Oh, I uttered a cry as the boy appeared behind me. He had dark brown hair cut very short, deep black eyes, appeared even darker because of his pale skin. He wore a brown and black flannel shirt and torn jeans. "Who are you?" I cried, stepping away from him. "What are you doing?" A strange, lopsided smile spread across his face. "I live here." Chapter 14. I don't understand, I stammered. Couldn't stop staring into those deep, sad eyes. "No one lives here. This stable—" The boy shook his head, his lopsided smile lingering on his face. "I mean, my family lives nearby," he said. Spoke slowly with a slight drawl. "I come here a lot," he said, "'cause it's so peaceful." I had a sudden urge to reach out and grab him, grab his arm, see if it was solid, see if it was real. "What are you doing here?" "What are you doing here?" he asked. "I work at the farm, after school, I mean, with kids," stammered like an idiot. He was kind of freaked. My name's Carly Beth. I'm Clark, he said. Think I scared you. Popping up out like that, sorry. It's okay. Know the story of this stable? He asked. Pretty scary place. Maybe that's why I like to come here. His eyes burned in mine. Lincoln's is twisted like scary things. His question sent a chill down my back. Maybe it was the way he staring at me like he could read my mind or something. I heard the story. It's horrible. I replied, those poor horses. He frowned at me. Excuse me, care more about the horses. What about the stable boy? It's all horrible, I choked out. My friend Sabrina and I were here last Saturday. We rode horses. We named in the stable. Hold on. Alright, I'm back. Sorry about that. Clark laughed. He had a funny laugh. Kind of dry. It sounded like he was joking. Must have a good imagination, he said. I come here all the time. Never hear the horses. Field mice maybe, but never horses. It wasn't field mice, I said. And that I know for sure. Picked a pile of straw. Hundreds of insects went swarming across the stable floor. Such a sad place, he said softly. Weird to think about. Wonder if Clark knew anything about the mask. I was dying to know if the stable boy's mask was the same evil mask I had in my basement. He could be a ghost. Say it was a scary mask to start the stampede, I said. Clark's eyes flashed. His expression turned serious. You know what the mask looks like? I asked. Shrug. Beats me. It's lying, I decided. You decided? Yes, because that's... And then the words just blurred out of my mouth. Don't know why, but I started to tell him about the story of what happened to me last Halloween. I asked you about the mask because I had a bad time last Halloween with an evil mask, I started. Again, his eyes locked on mine. Definitely had his attention. Last year, I continued, when I put the mask on, it stuck to my skin. Couldn't pull it off. It started to change me. Suddenly I had evil thoughts. Horrible evil thoughts. The mask, it was taking over my brain, and Clark laughed. Brushed a hand back through his short brown hair. An evil mask? He said. You're joking, right? Shook my head. No, Clark. I'm totally serious. I laughed again. Give me a break, he said. A mask that turns you evil? Crossed my arms in front of me. You said you know the story of a stable boy. No, he wore an evil mask that frightened the horses. And I say the boy haunts the stable. Clark gaped at me. Carly Beth, you believe in ghosts? He cried. No way. Believe in ghosts and evil masks. He laughed. Is your friend Sabrina as weird as you are? Stared back at him. I could tell he was lying. slowly pretending not to believe me. It's obvious. Put on a big show like he didn't believe in ghosts or haunted masks. To be fair, that is a very, reasonable reaction. Felt another chill. It's kinda cute, but something strange about him. Something was hiding. He's probably a ghost. He's probably the dead kid. Why was he hanging out here in this smelly, bug-infested stable? Why is he dressed like a stable boy in that old flannel shirt? I have to go, I said. It's late. I don't want to miss the next bus. He grinned. Hope your bus isn't haunted. His dark eyes flat. Rolled my eyes. Very funny, I said. Oh, nice meeting you, Clark. See you around, I guess. See ya! Gave me a quick two-finger salute. Spun away and jogged out the stable. The air felt so cool and fresh as soon as I got out of the smelly stable, trotted across the field to the road, then over the thud of my sneakers on the hard ground with shrill sounds, horsemen aimed behind me, horse cries so sad, calling me back to that frightening stable. Turns out the mask was a hockey mask that was melted down in a mask factory where Jason was hunting the people who turned Crystal Lake into factory grounds. Nah, it doesn't have rubbery lips. Chapter 15. I ran to the road. The horse cries rang in my ear, breathing hard. I grabbed the bus stop pole, held it tightly, struggling to catch my breath. An SUV rolled by with the loud country music blaring out the window. The sun had dropped low behind the trees. Strange shadows rolled across the fields like living creatures. The road was dark. No sign of the bus. Ran every half hour or so, but I wanted to be there now. Wanted to get away from the stable with the strange boy inside. The boy with the deep dark eyes who laughed at me when I heard horses, who laughed when I said the stable was haunted. What was the truth about Clark? I shuddered as the sky grew even darker. Didn't even think about Clark or ghost in the mask. I want to get away from here. Bus is never coming, I muttered. I should have gone home with Sabrina. I told myself never would have wandered over to that stable. Grabbed my cell phone. Tried to see if Mom and Dad could pick me up. Started punching our number and stopped. The phone was dead. No power. Loud sigh. Pushed the phone back in my jean pocket. A bird cackled loudly in a tree across the road. You laughing at me? I called to it. So I had to start walking. Walk along the road towards home. Bus came. I'd wave at it. Had it to stop. Or I'd walk the whole way. It was only a mile or two. It'd feel good to walk, I told myself. Give me a chance to think, a chance to figure things out in my mind. A lot to think about. I trudged along the gravel on the side of the road. Mine was spinning. Did I really hear ghost horses? Was the haunted mask that caused the stampede that killed them all? No, for a book about the haunted mask, it doesn't seem to be involving it too much yet. I knew Sabrina was right. I had to get that mask out of my basement. Where could I take it? Where could I hide it where no one would ever find it? Maybe it will soon. I hope so. They started the book with it. And then, like, everything else has basically been PTSD and this haunted stable. The walk took longer than I thought. Checked my watch. Nearly 7 o'clock. Dinner was at 6:30. Mom and Dad would be frantic by now. Probably call him a dead cell phone and call him Mrs. Lang, and they found out I walked home, they'd go ballistic. The air grew cooler. I zipped my jacket to the top. Backpacks only felt as if it weighed 1,000 pounds. Farm fields gave way to rows of small houses. It was almost there. Wiped sweat off my forehead, the back of my hand, kept walking. Look out! A voice cried. 2 boys on bikes roared past me. One on each side. They laughed and slapped a high five, happy they scared me. Most of the houses were brightly lit, so I could see people sitting at dinner tables. In one window, a huge white cat stared at me as I walked past. Well, I could call Mom and Dad and let them know I was okay. Pulled my phone out again, shook it. No power. Reached Melrose Street, turned the corner and into Deckland. 10 or 15 minutes from home, a large gray dog jumped up in his driveway and began barking at me fiercely. Heart skipped a beat. Saw the dog was on a chain. Turned another corner, found myself in a block of small stores. Saw a laundry and shoe repair store, both closed for the night. Passed the post office, small pizza takeout restaurant. Out across the street, stopped in the middle, tried the store in the next corner, tried in the bright orange light in its windows. Faces stared back at me. Ugly, twisted faces. Mask. 3 rows of Halloween masks gazed out to the store window. I saw a gorilla mask, several monster masks with bulging eyes, blood-dripping fangs, a furry werewolf mask, a creature with its skull poking out the top of its head. Frozen in the middle of the street, I stared from mask to mask. My eyes went to the glass door in front. A chill shook my body. I recognized this store. I knew it so well. The store appeared in so many of my nightmares. The mask store. The store where I'd bought the haunted mask. Chapter 16. How could it be here? How could it be back? The store had vanished, disappeared without a trace, leaving an empty lot behind. How could I be staring at it now? A loud blast from a car horn shocked me out of my daze. Shielded my eyes from the headlights hurried across the street. I stepped into the orange glow of the store window. The ugly mask gazed out at me. I ran to the front door and grabbed the handle. The store was real. It wasn't a dream. I pressed my face to the glass, peered inside. I could see the narrow aisles, long shelves of masks on both sides, just as I remembered. Behind the counter, the same strange man. The man who sold me the haunted mask. He stood there, reading a book. He raised his face to the light, and I could see him clearly. He had the same slicked down black hair, parted in the middle, the same pencil-thin black mustache. He wore a flowing black cape over a black suit. I stood for a long while, my hand on the door handle, watching him, remembering his little black eyes, the way he seemed to see into my thoughts. I took a deep breath, gave the door a hard tug. It swung open so fast, I nearly banged into it. Stumbling, I stepped into the store. As it turns out, the mask is actually the masked mutant's mask, and that's what gives you evil thoughts, takes over your personality, because the literal supervillain is taking over your mind when you wear it. Honestly, honestly, that could be canon. I mean, it wouldn't be his mask, it'd be his face as a mask. If anything. But yeah, that'd be legit. He didn't look up. He waited me to step up to the counter, raised his head slowly, and squinted at me with those strange little eyes. You remember me? I asked in a high, shrill voice. He nodded. Course I remember you. Carly Beth. Made my pulse race. I didn't like him saying my name. I gripped the counter with both hands to stop myself from shaking. You must take back the mask. You must! I shouted. An unpleasant smile under his thin mustache. Take it back? How? He asked. Closed his book. Set it down on the counter. Old tattered book. Saw the title on the cover. New Faces. It's in my basement, I said. I'll bring it to you tonight. Smile faded. You can't return it, said behind him. A shelf of human skulls grinned at me. Why not? I screamed. He brushed back his cape. You think you defeated it the first time, he said softly. But I know the truth. My mouth dropped open. Huh? The truth? He drew closer, so close I could smell his sour breath. The mask doesn't accept defeat, he whispered. That's crazy, I stammered. It'll be back, Carly Beth. It'll come after you this Halloween. Nothing I can do about it. It's crazy, I cried. I have it locked up. I brought up his face up to mine. No one has ever defeated the mask. No one whose skin becomes the mask's skin, who with eyes become the mask's eyes, have lived to tell about it. The mask destroyed them. All of them. All of them except you. You're alive. For now. Took a step back, let out a long sigh. You think you are the only victim of the mask. Someone else is out there, Carly Beth. Someone else owned the mask and will do anything to get it back. Anything. Someone you know. Huh? Mouth dropped open. You're confusing me, I said. Just tell me what I can do, please. I cannot tell you because I do not know. But I do know is this. The mask will not quit until it controls you. Until it fills you once again with its evil. No, please, I beg, please. He shrugged, his cape rustling behind him. I tried to warn you, Carly Beth. I tried to stop you, but you wouldn't listen. You bought the mask and you ran off with it. Now you must pay a most painful price. No, listen to me, I cried. I'll bring it back right now. You can lock it away in your store. Shook his head. Sorry. Slid quickly from behind the counter. Took my arm. His fingers pinched my skin. Led me out the door. No, please, wait, help me! I cried. Standing outside, heard the lock click. The door went dark. Let out a sharp cry. No, you got to help me! I screamed. Grabbed the door, but it wouldn't budge. Started to pound on it with both fists. I don't want the mask. Take it back! I screamed. Take it back, take it back, take it back! Chapter 17. I ran the rest of the way home. The stores, the houses, block after block of trees and yards. It's a blur of gray and black. I was panting hard when I finally pulled myself up my driveway. I crept in through the back door. The house felt so warm. I could smell roasted chicken. Mom and Dad were in the den. I tossed my coat and backpack down the floor for the hall. Sorry I'm late, I called. I struggled to catch my breath. Where were you? You missed dinner. Mom stepped into the hall, hands on her hips. We called Mrs. Lang. She said you left on time. Angry or worried, I asked. Both. No big deal, I said. I'm fine. Really, I can explain, okay? Just give me 1 minute. And wait for her answer. Turned and grabbed the door to the basement stairs. Could hear Mom and Dad shouting after me. I hurtled down the basement, taking the stairs 2 at a time. Had to make sure the mask was locked tightly in its box. No way I could let it escape on Halloween. The man in the mask door was wrong. He had to be wrong. And grabbed the string. I pulled on the ceiling ball of the storage room, again shoving cartons out of the way. My whole body was shaking as I uncovered the metal box. And gasping for breath. My throat ached. My hands trembled. Somehow I managed to unlock the box, pulled open the lid, and screamed. What is this? What is this? I cried. Tugged out the white and yellow feathers. My duck costume. The awful duck costume my mom made for me. Stuffed into the box. Pulled it out and tossed it to the floor and stared into the empty box. The haunted mask was gone. Chapter 18. I stared into the empty box, my mind spinning. I bent and picked up the feathery duck costume, shook it hard. Was the mask hiding inside? No. I slumped down onto a carton to think. A million questions flashed through my mind. All of them were terrifying. How had this happened? Did the mask escape? Did the man in the mask store tell the truth? He said someone else wanted it. Someone else in my house to steal it. How'd they know where it was hidden? Well, hold on a minute. I suddenly remembered something. Noah had been down in the basement. Did he see me with the mask? Was he down here that night and left the box uncovered? Suddenly I had a heavy feeling in the pit of my stomach. I felt sick. Switching the mask for the duck costume was the kind of joke Noah liked to pull. He took the mask up to his room. He had to try it on. No way he could resist. Well, he's stuck inside the mask right now, controlled by its evil. My heart was pounding like crazy. Forced myself to my feet. Ran up the stairs. Mom called for me from the kitchen. Carly Beth, do you want your dinner now or are you okay? In a minute, I shouted. Flew up the stairs. Ran down the hall to Noah's room. Noah, I called. Noah, are you all right? Threw open the door and gasped. Slowly, Noah turned around. His eyes stared at me through the craggy green mask. Chapter 19. I staggered back against the wall. Inside the mask, Noah blinked at me. "What's your problem, weirdo? Trying on my new Hulk mask. Never seen the Incredible Hulk before? And we're referencing Marvel." Okay. Stared at the bumpy green mask and burst out laughing. "You look awesome, Noah," I said. "Just wasn't expecting." "I wanted to be Wolverine," he said, voice muffled beneath the rubber mask. "They only had Hulk." "Oh, I think it's an improvement," I said. "You should keep it on." Kicked me in the leg. "Don't get violent," I said. "You joking? You're telling the Hulk not to get violent." Let out a roar and tackled me around the waist. Both fell to the floor laughing. Roaring some more. Tried to pin my arms to the rug. "Carly Beth, what's going on up there?" Mom shouted from the bottom of the stairs. "Getting really angry. You coming down for dinner or what?" "Coming," I called, pushing the Incredible Hulk off me. "Be right down." I checked my room. Just wanted to make sure the haunted mask wasn't hiding there waiting for me. Hurried down for dinner. Not much of an appetite. Too stressed. Knew I'd be seeing that mask again soon. What would I do when I saw it? What would I do? Well, if the haunted mask is actually a Wolverine mask, turns into two Batmans and kissing. Be a weird direction for this book to take. Chapter 20. On Halloween night, Sabrina and I jogged into the gravel path to the farmhouse. We both dressed as clowns. We painted our faces white. We wore ruffy pink clown collars around our necks, and red rubber clown noses pinched onto our faces. Bright yellow light poured from all the windows. I could hear shouts and music and kids laughing. Pulled open the front door and Laura came hurrying over to us. She was wearing a silvery princess dress. Her face was red and her hair was wild around me. "Get in here!" she cried breathlessly, pulled me in by my coat. "So glad to see you. Where have you been?" "Waiting an hour for the bus," I said. "So sorry we're late." Laura sighed. "I'm sorry too. Kids are totally wild tonight. Like they're all going ballistic. It's like I have 8 Jessies." We'll try to calm them down, Sabrina said. "Look at my princess costume," Laura said, pointing to the front of her skirt. "Angela spit up orange juice on my dress." "Angela the perfect angel? Angela isn't an angel tonight," Laura grumbled. Sabrina and I tore off our coats and followed Laura to the playroom. We had strung orange and black streamers over the walls and ceilings. Saw Jessie pulling the streamer down. Carried a long black streamer over to Colin and used it to tie Colin's hands behind his back. Colin struggled to free himself and knock over a plate of cookies. 2 boys started wrestling on the floor. 2 other boys were popping the orange and black balloons I had strung up. Deborah was hunched in the corner wailing, "I want to go home. I don't like Halloween." I mean, if I had to hang out with these kids, I wouldn't like Halloween either. Luckily, I don't have to hang out with these kids. "Looks like a good party," Sabrina joked. Laura rolled her eyes. "Let's split up," she said. We're outnumbered, but we can handle them." Took a while to get them sitting down, and Laura taught them spooky Halloween song. Never heard before. Had a lot of ooh. Oh, I think I know what they're referencing. So many red flags. In which the kids loved. Then I suggested the kids make up their own scary ghost story, but they started oohing around the room. Jesse found some gummy worms when he tried to stuff down the back of Harmony's witch costume. I was planning to show them how to carve a jack-o'-lantern, Laura said, "but no way I'm taking out any knives this group tonight." "They're totally wired," I said. "They've been eating Halloween candy all day." Another balloon popped. Deborah started crying again. That's when Mrs. Lang swept into the room. She wore a witch's costume, a long black dress, pointed black hat. She had a black mask pulled down over her eyes and carried an old-fashioned straw broom. Tossed back her head and cackled. A pretty good witch's cackle. It got the kids' attention. "Let's pick up these spilled cookies," she said, pointing to the floor. "Or else I'll put a spell on y'all and you disgusting spiders." She cackled again. Several kids dove to the floor and started collecting the spilled cookies. "Laura, didn't you want to help these children make their own masks?" Miss Lang said. Started to carry art supplies to the tables. "Let's get started and make masks out of these paper bags. I want to see the scariest mask ever." Kids didn't pay much attention to her. They were running around the room, pulling down streamers, tossing apples at each other, looking for Halloween candy. Let out a sigh. That'd be a fun way to celebrate Halloween, but kids weren't cooperating. And I couldn't really concentrate anymore. Anyway, kept gazing around the room. How could I enjoy the Halloween party? Couldn't get the haunted mask out of my mind. "Carla Bev!" Took me a few moments to realize Miss Lang was calling me. Shook my head hard, shaking away my scary thoughts. "Yes? Would you go to my office?" Miss Lang asked. "I left a box of markers on the desk. They'll be perfect for mask making." "No problem," I said. Left the playroom, made my way down to the long front hall. Shoes clanked on the hardwood floors. Past a music room with the old piano pushed against one wall. In a small bedroom with a painting of racing horses above the bed. Miss Lang's office, the last room in the end. Stepped inside, clicked on the ceiling light. Window was open. Pale yellow curtains fluttered in the room like ghosts. Her computer was on. Photo of a grinning Labrador retriever on the monitor. Her desk was piled high with magazines and paper. Hers and a tall stack of books. I bent over the desk, searching with the box of markers. The book in the corner caught my eye. It was an old book with a ragged gray cover. Its title was Tumbledown Times. Picked it up. It smelled musty. Opened and saw the history of Tumbledown Farms. Stumbled through quickly. Stopped at a section of old photos. "Oh, I think I know where this is going." First faded black and white photo was the original farmhouse. Just a little wooden shack. Next photo showed some grinning farm workers, holding shovels, pitchforks, in front of a hay wagon. I blinked when I turned the page and saw the next old photo. The stable. I recognized it immediately. Two tall horses stood at the sides, heads lowered. Leaning against the door was the stable boy, a long piece of straw in his mouth. I raised the book closer, staring at the stable boy. He looked familiar. Yes. I squinted at the picture till I could see the face clearly. My breath caught in my throat. Suddenly felt a cold all over. The stable boy was Clark. Called it! I guess it wasn't really that hard. Chapter 21. Clark is a ghost. I held the book in my trembling hand, stared at the boy's face. Yes, definitely Clark. Clark is a ghost. Slammed the book shut, dropped to the desk. And the words of the man from the mask store. Someone else is out there. Someone else who owned the mask will do anything to get it back. It's Clark. I have to tell Sabrina, I said out loud. Picked up the box of markers when running down out of the room. I lurched down the long hall, my heart pounding, burst into the playroom, shouted, "Sabrina! Sabrina!" Stopped when I saw Clark, standing against the glass door in the back. His hair fell down over his forehead. Hands were at his side. "Oh!" Let out a startled cry. Panic tightened my throat. "Clark, what are you doing here?" I thought. "I know the truth about you. I know you're a stable boy. I know you're a ghost. Why are you here?" Clark stepped away from the door. He said something to Angela and Colin, reached behind his back, pulled something from his pocket. A mask. The mask that had panicked the horses. My haunted mask. Clark pulled her mask down over his face. An ugly mask, but not my mask. It was green and big-eyed and a long alligator snout from 2 rows of pointy yellow teeth. He fixed it over his head and stepped towards the kids. "No!" I wanted to scream for him to stop, but no sound came out. Knew if I had to act fast. Clark was a ghost, the only one who knew it. The kids weren't safe. None of them were safe. Grabbed Sabrina and spun her around. "Quick!" I choked out. "Take the kids to the art table. Keep them close together. Make masks with them." "Mrs. Lang and I are tired," Sabrina said. "They wouldn't sit down." "Listen to me," I screamed. "Get them away from Clark. Sit them down. Make the mask over there." Pointed the art table on the other side of the room. "Hello?" Sabrina said. "Carly Beth, why are you so freaked?" "Tell you later," I said. eyes on Clark in the hideous mask. Where's Mrs. Lang? She and Laura had to go out to get more cider, Sabrina said. Studied for a moment. She could see how frightened I was. Okay, I'll round up the kids. Terrence started to herd the kids to the art table. I'll push Jesse and Deborah to the right direction. Come over here, he said, trying to sound calm. No one to scare the kids. Take a paper bag. Try to make some scary Halloween masks. Creepier the better. Once the kids were settled, I took a deep breath and strode across the room to Clark. Carly Beth. Hi, he said. His voice was muffled inside the ugly mask. His dark eyes locked on mine. I know the truth, I said. I know the truth about you, Clark. Grabbed the top of his mask with both hands and tugged it off his head. Hey! Cried out angrily. Grabbed for the mask. What's your problem? That wasn't the voice I gave him. What's your problem? Studied his face. Yes, wasn't making a mistake. Heart pounded and struggled to breathe, standing so close to a ghost. You were the stable boy, I said. You're the one who killed those horses all those years ago. I saw your picture in an old book. I know it was you, Clark. I know what you are. You're a ghost. His eyes didn't move off me. His smile faded. Yeah, you're right, Carla Beth, said softly. Now you know the truth. Chapter 22. I staggered back. He lurched forward, brought his face close to mine. I'm gonna have to put this mask back on and destroy everyone in this room, he whispered. No! I gasped. I swung the ugly mask behind my back, gripped it tightly with both hands. Then Clark laughed, shook his head, and laughed hard. Carly Beth, you totally nuts? I'm just kidding. That was a joke. Not a joke, I insisted. I saw you in those photos in the old book of Tumble Down Farm. Studied the photo carefully. I've seen the old photo too, Clark said. My grandfather the stable bull. About my age then. Now I look a lot like him. You're lying, I said. Stable boy died in that stampede, so he couldn't be your grandfather. It's you in that photo, I know it. I glanced back at the table. Kids were already finishing their masks. Some were cutting the eye holes in the paper bags. Clark pulled his mask away from me, held it up to my face. Check it out, Carly Beth. It's just an alligator. It's a normal Halloween mask. I bought it at Walmart. Not the evil mask that frightened the horses. I couldn't stop shaking. I didn't believe him. Clark, photos don't lie. You were the stable boy. Why are you here? Are you looking for the haunted mask? Not why you came tonight? He blinked. Huh? Haunted mask? No, I glanced back. Kids were trying on their masks, pulling the brown paper bags over their heads. I don't know what you want, I told Clark. I don't know why you're haunting this farm, but please don't harm the kids. Clark's mouth dropped open. You're crazy, he said. Totally crazy. Listen to me. Before I could finish, heard the first scream from the kids' table. Help me! Spun around, saw the kids with their paper bag masks pulled down over their heads. Help me! I can't get it off! Colin screamed. Tugged the top of the mask. 2 or 3 kids began pulling at their masks, screaming, It's stuck! Won't come off! It hurts! It hurts! Take it off! Cry of horror escaped my throats. Kids were trapped in their masks just as I had been. Clark did this to them, but why? He's my lesson? Tossed his alligator mask across the room and hurried to the table to help the kids, screaming and crying, pulling and scratching wildly at the paper bag mask. See the mask tighten around the kids' faces. Clark, stop it! I screamed. Let the kids alone. Stop doing this! Help me, Carly Beth. It hurts! It hurts! Harmony wailed. Ow! I can't see! I can't breathe! Jessie cried. Clark, what do you want? I said, Stop this, please! He stood right behind me and I grabbed his arm. Hey! He was solid. His arm was warm. Gasped. You're alive! I cried. You're alive! You're not a ghost! My head spun. Suddenly felt so confused. Doppel did the one single pull on Hawkeye Star Rail and got a ling shell. Is that like the that's the current 5-star? The one with the long brown hair shoots out like these fire foxes? Or not foxes, rabbits? That one? Awesome. kick ass. Let's go. Kids were all on their feet, screaming and pulling frantically at their masks. Grabbed the bottom of Jesse's mask, tried to tear it off. It stuck tightly to his neck and shoulders. Behind me, Sabrina held Deborah by one shoulder, tried to tug off Deborah's mask. She gave a hard pull, but the mask didn't budge. Deborah let out a loud, horrified wail, her little hands flying in the air. Door swung open. Laura burst in. Her blonde hair flew around her face. Her eyes moved from kid to kid. She strode over to Clark and me. A strange, wild expression. Was she smiling? Sorry, I had to scare kids like this. Huh? Gaped at her cold, silvery eyes. The only way to get you to cooperate, Carly Beth, Laura said. You want to save these kids? Only one way. Laura, don't understand, I stammered. What are you talking about? Bring me the haunted mask, she screamed. Cannot rest until it's mine again. Bring it, Carly Beth, and you better hurry. Chapter 23. I staggered back until I hit the wall. The lights suddenly seemed too bright. The floor felt unsteady beneath my feet. Saw the startled look on Clark's face. Saw Sabrina hugging herself, trembling in fright. Kids running in crazy circles around the room, screaming and crying, hugged and slapped at their mask. Get the mask, Laura hissed at me. I need it, Carly Beth. I've been waiting so many years, waiting to have it again. I fought back my fear, glared at her. You're the ghost, I cried. She pushed back her wild hair. Her eyes flashed. Yes, it was me. Oh, me. It wasn't the stable boy, Clark's grandfather. He didn't wear the mask, I did. I was the one who died in that stampede. Checks out. Laura's the one who told you that story, so she'd give you the altered version. When Clark mentioned it, he only gave the shortened version because you said you already knew it. Floated off the floor. I can't rest until I had that mask again, she said. She had to scream over the cries of the kids. Her weird silver eyes burned down to me. My father owned tumble-down farms, and I destroyed it. I wore the mask as a joke to scare the stable boy. I didn't know the mask was evil. I didn't know its evil would change me forever. She lowered herself to the floor. I could feel a wave of cold off her body. I've been waiting here on the farm for so long, she continued. And the night I heard you at the stable, Carly Beth. I heard you talking to Clark. I heard him tell him how the haunted mask, and I knew my long wait was finally over. Laura, let the kids go, I shouted. Let them take off their masks. No, she replied, rising over me. Her long hair flew up at the sides of her head like wings. Bring me the mask first. I can't go to my final rest till I have the mask. Don't stand there. Go get it before the kids start to suffocate. My breath caught in my throat. I suddenly remembered opening the metal box in my basement, pulling open the feathered costume. Laura, I don't have the haunted mask, I cried. Liar! She screamed. Her eyes flamed bright with rage. Liar! Go get it! Now! But it's gone, I told her. I don't have it, and telling the truth, it disappeared. Laura floated above me. Her fists were tight. She swung them in the air. Her eyes still flamed bright red. Do you want these kids to suffocate in their masks because you're a liar? You've got to believe me, I begged. The mask is gone. And then I heard a tiny voice in the corner. Sabrina's voice. I know where it is, she said. Chapter 24. The kids were screaming and crying. They ran in circles around us, tugging at their paper mask. Sabrina took a timid step closer. I looked at her in shock. Laura floated to the floor. She lowered her fist, turned her angry red stare on Sabrina. "I was only trying to help you, Carly Beth," Sabrina said in a frightened whisper. "I sneaked to your house, to the mask in your basement, and you weren't safe with the mask in your house. I buried it outside the stable. No one ever goes there." So that's what the patch of freshly dug dirt I thought was a grave. "Get it, now," Laura ordered. "Dig it up. Bring it to me. I'll make these kids suffer even more." "You can't get away with this," Clark roared. I jumped back and he leapt into the air. As he leapt in the air, he reached out both arms to tackle Laura to the floor, but Clark's hands went right through her. A ghost. Can't tackle a ghost. Rose off the floor, pointed a long finger at him, gave him a cold, hard stare. "No!" Clark let out a startled scream. She held him in her stare. He went sailing backward across the room. Crack! His head slammed to the wall with a hard jolt, uttered a groan, then slumped to the floor. Cold smile on her face, Laura turned to me. "See what I can do," she said. "Would you like to see the kids go flying head first?" Waved me to the door. "Stop stalling, Carly Beth. You have no choice. Go dig it up. Bring me the haunted mask." She was right. I had no choice. I ran out the glass door with the kids' wails and shrieks of pain ringing in my ear. Here's a blast of cold wind pushed me back. Hugging myself, I lowered my head and ran across the backyard towards the stable. My breath steamed up in front of me. My shoes crunched on the frosty, hard ground. The tall grass blew from side to side. Pale silver moonlight made a path in front of me as I ran. The light-aided path disappeared as I stepped into the darkness of the apple orchard, hustled toward the blur of tree limbs and branches and dark trunks trying to block me. My sides throbbed with pain. My dry throat ached as I reached the stable. I found the patch where Sabrina had buried the mask. I didn't wait to catch my breath. Dropped on my knees again to heave up dirt with both hands. Didn't take long. Sabrina hadn't buried it very deep. Pulled it up from its shallow grave. The mask felt warm. I shook the dirt off, stared up at me as I held it in my trembling hands. I raced through the orchard to the farmhouse. Would I be in time to save the poor kids? Could I save them? Would Laura really release them from their mask? Shivering from the cold, I stepped through the front door. I held the mask in front of me. The kids were quiet now, and their screams had stopped. Some were lying on the floor, weakly tugging at their masks. A few were huddled together in a corner, crying softly. Laura rushed forward to meet me, her eyes gleaming when they landed on the mask. "Give it to me," she cried. "Waited so long, I need it." Breathing hard, my whole body shivered. Started to hand it to her. She reached for it. Her pale eyes flashed with excitement. I pulled back. The mask will make Laura even more evil, I thought. She doesn't want it back so she can finally go to resting in peace. If I waited for the mask all this time, she'd be more evil. That's weird. That's a weird motive. If she gets the mask, she'll destroy us all. "Give it!" Laura whispered, made a wild grab for it. "Give it to me, Carly Beth!" I could feel her ghostly power so strong and cold. I could feel the pull. Feel her pulling my arm, pulling the mask to her. "No!" I choked out in a terrifying decision. Someone had to save the kids. I gripped the haunted mask by its side. I raised it high and pulled it down over my head. Chapter 25. I gasped. The warmth of the mask burned my face. Feel the mask instantly starting to tighten. I knew I had to fight evil with evil. I heard the children screaming. I turned and saw them tearing off their paper bag masks. Their faces were red and drenched with sweat. They were laughing and crying, jumping up and down with joy. All Laura's attention were on me. She released her hold on the kids. Mrs. Lang rang in. "What's all this screaming?" she asked. "I had a problem in the office. Her face went pale. Saw Laura and me facing each other. Saw me in the haunted mask. Her whole body shuddered. Not another word. Gathered up the kids and hurried them out of the farmhouse. "Smart lady." "Oh, there seems to be a horror movie going on in here. I'm just gonna escort the miners, or Or, well, yeah, all of mine is, but I'm just gonna escort the kindergartners out of here. Laura's flaming eyes were locked onto mine. "You fool!" she screamed. "Take it off! Give it to me!" I could feel the mask shrinking against my skin, attaching itself to my head. I could feel its evil pouring into me like ice water filling my body. "You fool!" she shouted again. "I want to destroy the mask! I don't want to wear it!" "Liar!" I cried. My voice came out raspy and deep from the mask. I knew she was lying. With a cry, Laura leapt forward and grabbed the mask with both hands. "Give it to me! It's mine! It's mine! You'll pay! I'll make you pay!" She tugged at the mask, then raised her hands to the top of the mask and pulled. "No! Let go! Let go!" I screamed. The mask stuck to me as part of me. The ugly mask was now my face. Feel the hot anger burning my chest. Couldn't control my rage. Let out a furious roar. Wasn't me anymore. Some kind of beast. "You're doomed, Laura! Tonight you face your doom!" Grunting like an animal, I lunged at her, made a grab for her, missed. My hands passed right through her. "You can't escape me, Laura!" I roared. Saw a flash of fear in her ghostly face. She swung away and ran out the glass door to the back. I saw her running across the backyard and took off after her. Not using those psychic powers you just showed off, but okay. In the cold, windy darkness, my shoes pounded hard against the frosty ground. The tall grass flattened as I plunged through it. "You can't escape, Laura!" I growled. She floated over the pasture, her hair flying behind me. Her hair flying behind her. I raced after her, arms outstretched. Silence fell over us, a deep, frightening silence. Then, running hard, I tilted my head back, let out a shrill cry. Not a cry from me, not a cry from Carly Beth, the cry from the mask. It was the scream of the haunted mask. The mask had taken over my mind and my body. The mask had won. Chapter 26. My scream rang out over the empty pasture. It's an animal's cry, not human. A scream of pure anger and raging evil. I screamed again and again, until the mask burned itself into my skin. I screamed as I ran, and the scream stopped with a gasp of surprise. I heard a rumbling, loud, panting like animal noises. I listened with the whinnying of horses and soft thunder of hoofbeats. A dozen ghostly horses came galloping out of the blackness of the orchard trees. Pale, pale horses, their white manes flowing behind their raised heads. Their eyes glowed an icy blue. Their mouths were open as in a permanent cry. The ground shook. The tall pasture grass whipped in all directions. The ghost horses galloped together, had their heads tall and high. Their glowing blue eyes were trained on Laura. Laura uttered a cry. She couldn't escape. The horses swirled around her, galloping faster and faster. I stood in amazement as they became a cloud of white. A loud, frightening blur of ghostly blue eyes and whinnies and screams and pounding hoofbeats. Then the cloud faded. The horses slowed and pulled away from their whirling circle. Silence now, a heavy, hushed silence. The grass stopped its wild dance. The wind didn't blow. No more screams. Laura was gone, vanished in the ghostly stampede. 10 minutes ago would have been a fantastic time. Horses. Or maybe a half hour ago. Or, when she first started haunting this place. I appreciate it, but a little sooner, dearie. I watched the horses turn back towards the orchard. They lowered their heads, grunting softly to one another. They could relax now. The girl who had frightened them so many years ago was finally gone. I waited until the horses disappeared into the trees, turned and strode back to the house. Sabrina and Clark came rushing towards the backyard to greet me, stopped when they saw my ugly, green, rutted face. Heard them gasp when they saw the glow of evil in my eyes. "Oh, Carly Beth!" Picked up the wheelbarrow in the middle of the yard, hoisted high over my head, and heaved it against the back door. Raised my face to the sky and laughed as the glass shattered. "Go away, both of you!" I roared. "I'm not Curly Beth anymore. I am the Haunted Mask!" "No, Carla Beth, we can help you!" Clark cried. I picked up a garden hoe, pulled back my arm, tossed it at his head. "No!" Clark and Sabrina screamed. Clark ducked and the hoe sailed over him. Searched for something else to throw. Clark and Sabrina turned and darted back to the house. Raised my head and howled at the moon. Couldn't control my anger. Wanted to pull down the tree and tear the farmhouse apart board by board. I dropped to my knee. Am I doomed to be like this forever? To act and look like this? I asked myself. There's no cure for me. And that first Halloween, I remember what the store owner told me about the mask. Only to be removed only by a symbol of love. Gazed around. "There's no love here," I muttered. "There's only fear and anger. Thought the store owner said the mask could be removed only once by a symbol of love." But I'd defeated the mask then. I survived. The store owner said I was the only one. I didn't know what would happen. My knees in the frozen ground, I screamed at the moon once more. I screamed long and hard. When I lowered my head, I saw the horses returning, stampeding over the tall grass. Once again their ghostly white manes flew, their eyes glowing in icy blue, galloping straight at me, coming for me. Shut my eyes, gritted my teeth, prepared for the pain. Chapter 27. Kneeling on the ground, I listened to the thunder of hoofbeats. I steadied myself, and felt a tinge on my cheek. Opened my eyes. A horse nuzzled my cheek. Another ghostly pale horse lowered its head and nudged me. I wanted to be petted. Horses formed a close circle around me, whinnying softly, bumped me gently. I wrapped my arms around a horse's neck, and from a faraway place I heard a soft voice. Laura cried, "And Carly Beth, you were the only one to care for them in all those years," she called to them. "The only one to show them any love." It took me a long moment to realize what Laura was talking about. The carrots. I brought them carrots, symbol of kindness and love. My heart pounding, climbed to my feet. The cry of joy. I ripped off the haunted mask. Yes, it came off. Came off! The cool air greeted my burning face. Suddenly the anger and rage floated away. I feel the mask releasing its hold on my mind. Horses quickly began to fade. They vanished except for their glowing blue eyes. Their eyes floated above me, shimmering against the black sky like stars, and then they vanished too. I turned and saw Sabrina and Clark standing outside the back door. I ran to them, threw my arms around Sabrina in a hug. "Sabrina, I can't stop shaking," I said. "I'm so happy. Nightmare is over. For everyone, it's finally over." Glanced down, suddenly realized still the haunted mask gripped tightly in my hand. Raced in front of me, turned to Sabrina and Clark. "We have to bury it again. Right away, we..." Stopped with the mask wheel in my hand. I raised in front of me, turned to Sabrina and Clark. Stopped with the mask wheel in my hand. The ugly green head started to quiver and shake. The fat, rubbery lips began to move up and down. To my horror, I heard it whispered rasp. "You're my favorite, Carly Beth. See you next Halloween." And that's the end of the main story. And now, for the HorrorLand pot. The story so far. Ordinary kids are receiving mysterious invitations to HorrorLand, a popular scream park filled with ghoulish rides and attractions. Each very special guest is promised a week of scary fun. But now the scares are becoming too scary. Two girls, Brittany Crosby, Molly Mallory, disappeared in the Black Lagoon water park. Billy Deep was horrified when his sister, Shenna, suddenly became invisible. Then she went missing too. A park guide, a horror named Brian, warned the kids they were all in danger. He tried to help them until two other horrors dragged him away. Why are the kids in danger? Where are the three missing girls? Maybe Brian knows the answer. The kids can find him. When Carly, Beth, and Sabrina received the invitation of their own, they had no idea they'd be stepping into a real horror story. What's next? Turn the page to join Carly, Beth, and Sabrina in HorrorLand. Chapter 1. Nothing can scare me, not my horrifying battle with the haunted mask. So when the envelope addressed to Carly Beth Catswell arrived in the mail from HorrorLand amusement park, I wasn't afraid at all. I knew I'd have a great time there, even though everyone says HorrorLand's the scariest place on earth. The invitation said I could bring a friend to the park for a week, absolutely free. So when summer arrived, I was already ready to put the real scares behind me. Enjoy some fun scares for a change. Our first day at the park, Sabrina and I took our seats at the very special guest section of the haunted theater. Creepy organ music played. Shadowy ghosts slid across the purple curtain outstage. Evil laughter poured out of the hidden speakers. "This is totally awesome," Sabrina said. "How'd you ever get picked to come here for free?" I shrugged. "Beats me. No idea." A deep voice came over the speakers. "Attention, everyone. Mondo the Magical is backstage, casting a spell on himself. Unfortunately, he's turned himself into a pigeon. The show will begin as soon as he turns himself back." Everyone laughed and gazed around. The theater was about half full. Kids and families still poured in. The room was long and narrow, rows of ghost white seats. Photos of screaming faces lined the purple walls. Sabrina bumped me with her elbow. "Look! Those two boys are going to sit with us." Turned to the aisle and saw a horror. That's what they call the park guides here, dressed in green and purple, showing two boys, the chairs next to us. Sabrina smoothed down her hair and adjusted her pale green t-shirt. "They're kinda cute," she whispered. Two boys dropped into their seats. Both had dark hair and dark eyes. Sabrina leaned forward to say hi. They totally ignored us. They seemed to be stressed about something. "Billy, I saw them drag Brian into the theater," taller one said. "I bet they were holding him backstage." Billy's face was red. He kept glancing at the horror ushers in the aisle. "Stay cool, Matt," he whispered. "Just act as if we're here to see the show. Maybe when the lights go down, we can sneak out and search for Brian." I stared at them. What was their problem? "Maybe we should search for Sheena. Or maybe we should search for Sheena and Brittany and Molly first," one named Billy said. Matt shook his head. "Don't you get it? Brian said he would help us. He knows what's going on. We've got to rescue him from the horrors who dragged him away." Billy slammed his head on the arm of the seat. "Where's my sister? Can this be happening?" Matt had something in his hand. Squinted to see it was a tiny piece of a mirror. Two boys sat there, staring into it. Okay, I'm not a nosy person, but this was too much. "What's up with you guys?" I asked. "What are you looking for?" Their heads shot around. Hi. Didn't see you." Hi, Matt said. "Didn't see you," Billy said. "What's up?" I asked again. You both looked totally stressed. They glanced at each other. They were trying to decide whether to tell me or not. "Well, we got this weird problem," Billy finally said. "My sister, Sheena, is missing. Two other girls we met." Sabrina's mouth dropped open. "Missing? For real? You tell park people about it?" Billy rolled his eyes. Like they want to be helpful. "A horror named Brian wants to help us," Matt said. "But some poor horror dragged him away." Matt saw me gazing at the mirror, held it up to me. "What do you see in there?" Pulled the tiny piece of mirror closer. "I see two girls at some kind of carnival ride," I said. "Those are the two missing girls," Matt said. "Brittany and Molly." I studied the girls in the mirror. What is it? Some kind of optical illusion? "No, it's real." Billy said. "We have to find that carousel. And my sister's there with them. Maybe a little hard to find. She's invisible." Glanced at Sabrina. Looked at me confused. As confused as I did. This door didn't make any sense at all. Missing girls inside a mirror and invisible girl. Seemed too upset to be joking. Could be true. Matt turned to me. Very good looking. Billy was skinny, but Matt looked like he played sports. "Are you guests too? You get free invitations?" he asked. "Yes," I said. "When scary things happened to us before we got here," Matt said. "Billy and his sister had to fight off a bunch of zombie pirates. I had some problems with some terrible stuff called monster blood." Pictured the haunted mask in my temple. Holes began to pound. "We think we invited us to the park because of scary things that happened to us this year," Billy said. "Something scary happened to you?" Should I tell them? I don't even know them. Decided I better not. No way, I answered. Nothing scary ever happened to me. Sabrina poked me. Tried to say something, but I gave her a look that made her stay quiet. Theater light faded. Bright yellow light shone down on the curtain on stage. Music blared from the speakers. The show was starting. Matt climbed to his feet and crouched down. He tapped Billy's shoulder. "Come on. They're not watching," he whispered. "Let's go look for Brian." He glared at me. "Wish us luck," he whispered. "We'll need it." Two boys began to creep deep into the aisle. Need some water here. Chapter 2. Two horrors quickly moved to block the aisle. The boys had no choice, sank back into their seats. They stared straight ahead at the stage. I could see they were really upset. Mondo the Magical strutted on stage. Chubby little man, shiny bald head and a big crooked nose. He wore a tight-fitting tuxedo, a big red bow, and a long purple cape draped over his back. He took a deep bow. Everyone clapped. He held an egg in his hand, waved it around in circles, and it disappeared. Then he pulled 2 eggs from his ears, waved them around, and suddenly he held 4 eggs. He waved the 4 eggs. They all disappeared. Sabrina leaned close to me. "Pretty lame," she whispered. "You'll like this one better," Mondo announced. Sabrina and I gasped. How did he hear that? Mondo's assistant was a young woman with long blonde hair, bright red lips, wore a glittery costume of red and yellows, wheeled a steaming cauldron on stage. Mondo waved his hand over the cauldron, formed one hand into a cup, pulled a live rabbit out of his fist. Sabrina and I clapped. Pretty good trick. Billy and Matt stared straight ahead, till they weren't thinking about the magic act. "Here's a trick only Mondo can do," Mondo announced. "A trick no other magician has even dreamed of." He lifted the rabbit in the palm of one hand, appeared to reach his other hand down the rabbit's mouth, pulled a hat out of the rabbit. Okay, that's funny. I laughed hard. What a funny idea, pulling a hat out of a rabbit. Yes, that had to be a first. Mondo took a deep bow. When he stood up, his eyes bulged, grabbed his throat, and made a loud choking sound. Some kids gasped. The audience grew very silent. Mondo reached 2 fingers in his mouth, pulled out a ping-pong ball, made a more choking sound, pulled out another ping-pong ball, then another, and another. Pretty soon, a dozen ping-pong balls bounced across the stage, all pulled out of Mondo's mouth. "Mondo has a big mouth," he said. "Anyone else like to play tennis?" He pulled his mouth wide open and pulled out a tennis ball. Sabrina poked me. "He's pulling those from his sleeve," she whispered. "Here's one you won't be able to figure out," Mondo boomed. Could he hear Sabrina's whispers? The assistant rolled a tall box on stage. Looked like a coffin standing on its end. "Say goodbye to my assistant Rhonda," Mondo said. "He's going to disappear. Forever!" Mondo pulled open the lid and banged the 4 sides of the box with his cane. "Solid wood," he said. What if his assistant get in the box? "Goodbye, Rhonda," he said. "It's been great." Surprised you didn't say you're fired. Rhonda waved goodbye to the audience, tossed back her long blonde hair, stepped into the box. Mondo blew her a kiss, then closed the lid. We'll never see Rondo again, Mondo said. Who wants to be my new assistant? I need a new assistant every day. Pulled open a yellow blanket, wrapped it around the box. Everyone count with me. He led the count. 1, 2, 3. He pulled the blanket off the box, tossed it away, then grabbed the handle and tugged the lid open. Empty! He cried, a big puff of black smoke. As smoke cleared, Mondo let out a startling gasp. A dark-haired girl stood in the box, wore a pale blue t-shirt and faded jeans, kept blinking and shaking her head. Stepped out of the box. Hush fell at the theater, and saw Billy jump to his feet. My sister! He gasped. Sheena! Oh, at least she's visible now. I don't understand, Mondo muttered, wiped sweat off his bald head and gaped at the girl. How did you, where? Was this part of the act? I don't think so. Gazed onto the audience, looked as he suddenly remembered we were there. Thank you! Thank you! He cried. Ran off the stage without taking a bow. All the theater doors swung open. Everyone left. Watched Billy and Matt run to the stage to greet Sheena. Billy actually hugged his sister. You're back! I can see you, he said. I started to exit. There's a million things we want to do in the park. Sabrina pulled me to the stage. We had to see what's up with these kids, she said. Sheena still looked a little unsteady, confused. Matt stood there staring at her as if she was a ghost or something. Billy started tossing question after question at the poor girl. Where were you? Do you know where you are? You see Brittany and Molly? Were they okay? You talked to anyone? How'd you get back? Sheena sat down on the edge of the stage, kept twirling a strand of dark hair between her fingers. It's hard to remember everything, said softly. Well, try, Billy insisted. He and Matt dropped down beside her. Sabrina and I stayed near the front row of seats. At first, everything was green, Sheena said, like a thick green fog. I realized it's monster blood, remember? Got vacuumed up with all that monster blood. Turned to Sabrina. Monster blood? I whispered. What's going on here? Covered in that sticky goo, Sabrina continued. I pulled it away from my eyes and finally I could see clearly. Where were you? Billy demanded. In some other part of HorrorLand, I think, Sheena replied. Some part we haven't seen. I looked all around. I didn't recognize anything. What'd you see? There was a strange carousel, Sheena said. The carousel horses were on fire. They didn't burn, but they had fire shooting out of them. Billy turned to Matt, very excited. Same carousel we saw in the mirror, he cried. Sheena, Matt said, did you see Brittany and Molly riding the burning carousel? She nodded. Yes, I saw them. I waved to them, they waved back. Did you talk to them? Sheena shook her head. I couldn't get close enough. She said, I started running to him, but I couldn't get any closer. I ran and I ran. Carousel stayed just as far from me. Unreal, like being in a dream. Then what happened? Matt asked. A door opened in front of me. It appeared out of nowhere, Sheena said. I stepped through it, and here I was. Back. Turned to Sabrina. Yes, you're making this up. Kind of scary HorrorLand joke, right? The two boys weren't laughing. We gotta search the park and find the carousel, Matt said. He pulled Sheena to her feet. Come on! If we can find Brian, we know where it is. Where is Brian? Sheena asked. A few horrors dragged him away, Billy said. We think they're hiding him somewhere in this theater. Matt pointed to the blue door, or in the rear wall. That must lead backstage, he said. They started to jog towards the door. He stopped, turned to Sabrina and me. Come with us! Hurry! He called. I shook my head. Kids were creeping me out. I wanted to join their game. I shivered as a brief image of the haunted mask flickered in my mind. Sabrina and I just got here, I said. I think we want to check out some of the rides instead. Sabrina frowned at me. Carly Beth, what's your problem? These guys are totally cute, she whispered. Didn't we have enough scares back home? I whispered back. Matt stepped out to the edge of the stage and gazed down at us. You're a special guest, right? Like us? Right. Well, Brian warned us. We're all in danger. And you too, Matt said. Come on, Sabrina said. She dragged me on stage. I followed the others through the stage door, led to a long, dark hall with cobwebs clinging to the walls. Our shoes echoed loudly on the concrete floor as we hurried down the hall. Came to the end and saw 2 rooms. One room had a gold star on the door, a dressing room. The other door had a sign that read storage, keep out. Hello? Anyone back here? Sheena called. Silence. The dressing room door was open. Peeked inside, no one there. Mondo's black top hat sat on a chair. Jars of makeup was lined in front of the mirror. His cane leaned against the wall. Let's check out the storage room, Sheena said. Pulled open the door. A dim overhead light switched on and jammed ourselves inside. Flickering sound made me jump. Someone is here. Matt pointed to the wire cage under a small window. Mondo's pigeons. Other magic props were stuffed into tall bookshelves that reached from the floor to the ceiling. Plastic eggs and rubber chickens, fake flowers, wooden bowling pins, white gloves and decks of cards, red and blue handcuffs or handkerchiefs. A skull grinning at us from the top shelf. Mondo's tuxedo jacket hung on the wooden coat rack. See a fake bouquet of flowers poking out one of the sleeves. Brian, Matt called. Are you here? We're wasting our time, Billy said. Come on, let's go. He turned and started to the door. Wait, I cried. Something on the floor in front of the bookshelf caught my eye. The brass name tag. Held it close so everyone could see. The name engraved on it was Brian. Chapter 4. Matt took the name tag from my hand and studied it. Brian was here, he said. Maybe he left for us to find. Maybe he left it for us to find, Billy said. He wants us to find him and rescue him. Where do we go next? The pigeons fluttered in their cage, started to warble and coo, like they were excited to. Or like they were excited too. Wait, there's something else, I said. Reached down to the bottom shelf. Folded sheet of paper stuck out. Be careful, Sabrina said. Looks really old. The paper was yellow and stained, crinkled, so I unfolded it. Must be an old park guide, I said. Look. Held it up carefully. I don't believe it. Check it out. Page showed a drawing of a white carousel. Red and orange flames shot out of the carousel horses. It's the same carousel, Sheena cried. The one I saw Brittany and Molly riding. But it looks so old, Billy said. I studied the drawing. There's a sign next to the carousel, I said. The page is torn. I think I can read it. I read the sign to them. Ride the wheel of fire, it's smoking hot. I bet Ryan left this for us too. He wants us to find this ride. You know, the Brittany and Molly are there. Should be easy enough to find, Sabrina said. Or it should be easy enough to find, Sabrina said. Let's go. The girls may be in real danger, Sheena said. Pushed past us, strode back to the hall. Mac took the old drawing from me. Then he and Billy followed Sheena. No choice, followed them out of the haunted theater and into the bright sunlight. Park was crowded. We had to duck and dodge and push our way through the zombie plaza. Bumped right into the purple-faced whore with a big metal box strapped to his chest. Staggered back, bounced off him. Opened the box, pulled out something that looked like a hot dog. Free monster dog, he shouted. Free monster dog, only $1. Squinted back at me, and one brown eye went black. Got $1, miss? I'll give you a free monster dog for $1. Had the lumpy brown meat inside the bun. I stared at the lumpy brown meat inside the bun. What's in a monster dog, I asked. If you're a dog lover, you don't want to know, he said. I think he was joking. I didn't want to find out. I looked far ahead and I saw Sabrina hurrying to keep up with Matt. I ducked past a booth with a sign that read, Nose tattoos across the front. A horror leaned on the counter, holding up a large tattoo needle. A blue spider tattoo spread across his nose. The smallest sign read, Eyeballs pierced while you wait. Made me laugh, I knew it. Everything here was a big joke. Why Sabrina forced me to join these kids in this crazy mission? When I caught up to them, they were studying a big sign, quickly saw it was a park directory. Over here, Matt said, pointing. List all the HorrorLand rides. I scanned the list. Some of the rides caught my eye. The Doom Slide, the Bottomless Canoe Ride, the Free Fall Bungee Ride. Matt shook his head. Unhappily, No Wheel of Fire, he muttered. Has to be here, Sheena said. I saw it. Started at the top of the list, been reading them loud. Maybe it's a new ride? They're always opening and closing attractions here. Maybe they closed this one a long time ago and just reopened it. He's right, Sheena agreed. Let's search the carnival area. Pointed. I think it's that way. Across from Goodbye Land. They started back through the crowd in Zombie Plaza. I pulled Sabrina aside. Are you sure you want to do this? Well, yeah, Sabrina replied. Carly Beth, what's your problem? How come you keep wanting to leave? Why do you lie to them? Why don't you tell them you had a very experience, too? I shrugged. I just don't trust them, I said. Can't trust anyone in HorrorLand. Anything. Come here to solve a big mystery about missing girls. Come here to laugh and have fun, Sabrina, and to forget. Sabrina turned away. Where are they? I'll lose them in the crowd. Started to reply, but my breath caught in my throat. I shielded my eyes in the bright sunlight, stared at the shop across the masked plaza. The shop was called Make a Face, a mask store. I gazed at the window and saw a dozen green, ugly masks in front of me, and in the middle of them, staring out at me alone, I saw the haunted mask. No! I cried. I grabbed Sabrina's arm. She let out a squeal. Guess I grabbed her too hard. Loosened my grip on her arm. Sabrina, look! I choked out. She saw it too. Carly Beth, what's the big deal? She asked. Tugged me towards the little shop. Pulled back. When we finished with the haunted mask, how could it have followed me to Horrorland? Bright sunlight nearly blinded me. Raised a hand to shield my eyes again. Shop window came to focus. Saw it wasn't the haunted mask. Just another scary green mask with its mouth wide open and a silent smile. I thought... I started, but my mouth was suddenly too dry to talk. Sabrina rolled her eyes. I know what you thought. You thought it was the haunted mask. You gotta calm down, Carly Beth. The mask is buried deep outside the stable of Tumbledown Farms. I nodded. Yes, I know, but come on. Just gotta take a look inside. Gotta be sure. My chest felt all fluttery. I forced myself to walk up to the shop. We stepped inside. It was a small shop. The walls and shelves were covered with ugly masks. A horror stepped out from behind the counter to greet us. She had long black hair tied behind her head in a ponytail. Her pale yellow eyes, the curled horns on top of her hair were tinted pink. Hi, girls, she said. Can I sell you a mask today? We're just looking. Or were they just looking? Sabrina said. The horror pulled a hairy wolf mask off the wall and held it out. You might like this one, Carly Beth. I gasped. How do you know my name? She nodded. You're a very special guest, right? Something about the way she said that gave me a chill. Try these on, the horror said, and a mask to Sabrina and me. They just came in. Kinda funny, don't you think? Know what they say, vampire mice see the fang. Or know what they are, vampire mice see the fangs. I didn't really want to put the mask on. Horror was watching us so intently I tugged it down over my head. Yuck, felt warm inside I had like human skin. Mouse fur on the outside. Totally felt real. Heart started to pound. I pulled it off quickly. I went back to the shopkeeper, and I helped Sabrina remove hers. Cool mask, Sabrina said. Rubbed her hands over a mask that looked like a crying baby. Totally feel like baby skin, Sabrina said. How do you make them so real? Horror smiled. That's a secret! All the ugly faces on the walls were starting to freak me out. Sabrina, I think we should go, I said. Started to turn back, then stopped. Something in the back room caught my eye. Yes, go check out the back room, the horror said. A lot more interesting masks back there. Sabrina and I stepped into the tiny room. Walls covered with masks. or a monster mask or an animal mask. They all looked like kids. How creepy is this? Sabrina muttered. I didn't answer, staring at two masks near the top. My hands gripped the counter. My chest fell. All fluttery again. Sabrina, up there, I whispered. Saw the mask I was staring at. The two girls. 2 girls? She muttered. Yes, those masks look just like Brittany and Molly. Two missing girls we saw. The two missing girls we saw in the little piece of mirror. That's impossible. Sabrina and I stood there, just close together, gazing up at the mask of the 2 girls. As we stared, the girl's lips quivered. Lips on the mask moved up and down. Both formed the silent words, "You're next. You're next." Chapter 6. I couldn't help it. Let out a scream. What's wrong? Shopkeeper appeared behind us. One of the 2 masks. Their lips. I said, they moved. The masks talk. Horror shook her head. Oh, it looks that way, she said. See, the window is open. Wind from the window makes the lips bob up and down. My mind whirled. I knew she was wrong. Masks were talking to us, warning us. Masks appeared to stare down at us. The other mouths hung open in ugly scowls. Those masks looked just like 2 girls we saw, Sabrina said. That's funny, the horror said. 2 girls came in here earlier this week. They said the masks looked just like them. But I don't really think so. Want to try them on? I shuddered. No thanks, I stammered. Grabbed Sabrina. Let's go. I rushed past the whore and through the front of the store, out the street. Come back soon, Carly Beth and Sabrina, the whore shouted. Again I felt chills. How did she know our names? Sabrina and I jogged across the plaza. I had to get away from the mask store. Hurried past several shops. I stepped in front of a big poster. It showed a kid on a beach sinking deep into the sand. They were screaming and laughing. The bottom it read, Quicksand Beach. Drop in any time. We have to find those kids, Sabrina said, and to tell them what the mask said. We have to warn them. Gazed around the plaza. Groups of kids and families were rushing in all directions. Seemed to be having fun. I sighed. Sabrina, maybe we should just find my parents and go home. Maybe. Stopped when I heard voices coming from the other side of the big poster. Put my head around. 2 whores leaned against the other side, both licking large black ice cream cones. Black ice cream cones. One of them was huge, tall, bulging muscles. Wore a red bandana around his hair, tucked around his horn. Brandon was skinny and had purple freckles all over his green face. All special guests doing a lot of heavy-duty surprises, aren't they, Marcus? The bigger one said. I ducked my head out of sight, talking about. Sabrina started to say something, but I shushed her by pressing my hand over her mouth. Both listened. Yeah, Bubba, the smaller one replied. I don't know how scary things can get. Things are gonna get a lot scarier, Marcus, Mother said. A lot scarier. Yeah, 2 are already gone, Marcus said. We'll take care of the rest. We have no choice, do we? Sabrina and I froze. My heart pounded. Pressed my back to the poster. I didn't move until the 2 horrors walked away. They were talking about us, I stammered. Hear what they said? Sabrina swallowed. Every word. We do have to warn the other kids, I said. You're right, Sabrina. They have to know. Those 2 horrors want all of us to disappear. Chapter 7. We started back towards the Stagger Inn. Thought maybe the kids had returned to the hotel. Frightening words and the 2 horrors kept repeating in my mind. 2 are already gone. We'll take care of the rest. Why did that sentence want to hurt us? Or why did someone want to hurt us or make us disappear? What had they done to Brittany and Molly? Why were we invited here? So many questions. My head felt ready to explode. Carly Beth, I think we got turned around, Sabrina said. I think the hotel's back there. She pointed. It's all small. All yellow and brown cottage up ahead to us. To one side of them, a forest, tall tree. A sign on the wooden pole read, Welcome to Werewolf Village. A smaller sign read, Curb your wolf. Let out a cry. Sabrina, look! Look, is that Billy, Shanna, and Matt going to the village? We took off running. A narrow brick path led into the village. The cottage windows were all dark, the tall trees spreading a thick shade over everything. I heard wolf howls up ahead. Sabrina and I stopped. No sign of the kids. Time catching them? The cottage ended at a forest. Entered the thick grove. Nothing moved. The trees stood perfectly still. We walked and walked in total silence. Then suddenly, wolf howls rose all up around us. Two big white wolves stepped into our paths. Their mouths were open, their tongues hung out over their jagged teeth. Oh no, I muttered. I took a step back. The wolves lowered their heads, stared at us with cold, gray eyes. The hoarse growls escaped their throats. I don't think they're friendly, I whispered. The wolves took a step closer. Walking side by side, they didn't blink. They kept their cold stares on us as they advanced. This can't be real, Sabrina whispered, grabbing my hand. They wouldn't let real wolves walk around free, would they? I didn't answer. The wolves looked ready to pounce. I cried out when I felt a hand on my shoulder, spun around to see a smiling horror. Don't worry, girls, he said. They don't bite till after dark. He had a showy motion in one hand. Wolves turned and trotted into the wolves. Or trotted after them. Enjoy Wilsbane Forest, she called. Wait, I shouted. How do we get out of here? I could hear her footsteps crack, echoing on the blanket of leaves beneath the trees, but she didn't answer. I don't see the kids, Sabrina said, brushing a green caterpillar from her hair. I don't see any kids. Let's get out of here. I think we came this way, said, pointing. The sun had lowered. Long shadows stretched over the forest. Hard to see where we were going. Walked for a while in silence. Caterpillars fell from the trees. Picked us a sticky one off my forehead. Saw two more on Sabrina's shoulders, another in her hair. Hey, I cried when I felt one drop down the back of my shirt. We should have found the path by now, Sabrina said. Don't tell me we've lost this awful forest. Wait, are those cottages? I said. We must be close to the exit. Followed the narrow dirt path out of the trees. I was wrong. They weren't cottages. They were large metal cages, bars across the forest. I heard grunts and groans from inside the cages. Sabrina and I timidly stepped closer. It's men, Sabrina whispered. In the dim gray light, I could see men hunched inside cages. Some of them gripped the bar with both hands, grunted at us. Men wore baggy brown shorts, no shirts or shoes, covered in bristly black hair. Their chest and back and arms and legs, their feet had thick tufts of hair. Actors, Sabrina whispered. They must work for the park. I wasn't so sure. What was real here in HorrorLand? What could you believe? What was make-believe? One of the men tossed back his long mane of hair and began to howl like a wolf. The others began to bang the bars of their caves, their fists. I cupped my hands around my mouth and shouted, Can you help us? We can't find the exit. They howled and pounded. One of the men hunched on all fours and began to drool. A man jumped to his feet in the closest cage and brought his face to the bars. I saw he had a wolf snout, not a human nose. I screamed. He tossed back his head and laughed, a wild creature laugh, a horrible laugh sent chills down my back. Let's go, Sabrina said, pulling me with both hands. They're totally creeping me out. We both turned away from the howling, grunting men in their cages. I glanced up at the darkening sky, a pale, full moon rising above the trees. This way, I said, pulled Sabrina towards another dirt path. I don't know how long we walked through the forest. It seems like hours. Bill shouted for help. We followed the trail, but no answering. Can't be happening, Sabrina muttered, pulling another caterpillar off her cheek. This park's supposed to be fun. Sabrina, look, I cried at the end of the path. I saw a tall wire fence. Pulled her towards it. We're out of the forest. Look, a gate. My heart thudded in my chest. I wiped sweat off my forehead with the back of my hand. An exit gate. So happy. Raced over the dirt. Sabrina got there first. Pushed the gate, pushed harder. Tried to pull on it. When I saw the lock. long silvery padlock. It's locked? I said, sighing. My knees suddenly felt weak. We're locked in. Burst of anger. I grabbed the gate, both hands shook it. Of course, it didn't budge. Ah! I uttered a disgusted cry and spun away. Full moon was bright yellow now. Wolf howls floated in the air all around us. We've got to find another exit, Sabrina said. Couldn't find her voice, keep her voice from trembling. Wolves really sound hungry. I think they're real. Can't spend the night here. Follow the fence, I said. Should lead us out. I heard rambling footsteps, leaves scraping and crackling. Steps came closer, then Sabrina and I both screamed in horror as a dark creature leaped out of the trees and fell on us with a hungry cry. And that is currently as far as the story goes. Next time we do this, we'll be reading Dr. Maniac vs. Robbie Schwartz. So, I do hope you all enjoyed that. And I'm gonna have to check something. Well, I'm gonna have to check something. What I'm checking is, who shall we raid today? Do, 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 do. How about we raid Skittles? Alright. To everyone here, I'd like to wish you all a fond farewell, and thank you for stopping by. If you like this, of course, follow me on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing, because it really helps me out. I'll be back tomorrow, more than likely. You know, if I don't catch what's ever going around. And I haven't decided what we're gonna do yet. So, you know, just like any other day. You're still reading? We just finished up. We're about to raid out. And speaking of that raid, I want you all on your best behavior for it. Skittles is someone I have a lot of respect for, after all. Anyways, good, because this still doesn't look right to me. What? The titties? Or the legs? The avatar in general? Well, damn. Oh well, I love it. And that's the important thing. I should probably, like, do this. Alright, everyone. I think you look pretty. Thank you. I look hot as shit. Anyways, until next time, everyone. Fare thee well.